Chapter 673. Too much. When he heard Cho Zitao's words, Mo Qingyun looked at him with disdain. He laughed coldly and said, "You should think carefully before you kill others. You can be killed by others too." Hidden door. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he didn't waste any more words with Cho Zitao. He used his martial soul's ability, Hidden Door, again. After that, Mo Qingyun's figure gradually disappeared in front of Cho Zitao's eyes. When he saw Mo Qingyun's figure disappear, Cho Zitao immediately panicked. His face turned pale. Mo Qingyun had concealed himself. This meant that Mo Qingyun was going to kill him. Mo Qingyun, don't hide. If you have the ability, come out and fight me. When he saw that Mo Qingyun had concealed himself, Cho Zitao immediately panicked. Since he couldn't sense Mo Qingyun's presence, he had to face Mo Qingyun's silent sneak attack. Could he block Mo Qingyun's sneak attack? The answer was obviously no. When he thought of this, Cho Zitao's heart sank. He felt a strong sense of oppression. Mo Qingyun chose to ignore Cho Zitao's shouts. He continued to conceal himself and walked closer to Cho Zitao. The more Mo Qingyun didn't make a sound, the more panicked Cho Zitao became. This feeling was driving him crazy. At this moment, he finally understood how the people who had been killed by the Shadow Glyph sect's disciples felt before they died. Whoosh! At this moment, just as Cho Zitao's mind was about to crumble, a cold light pierced through the air and attacked his chest. Cho Zitao's expression changed when he felt the chill. He prepared to turn around and escape to avoid this fatal attack. Gravity suppression. However, just as Cho Zitao was about to turn around and leave, a mountain-like pressure pressed down on his body. Under this pressure, Cho Zitao's knees buckled. He couldn't help but half kneel on the ground. Pucci. As Cho Zitao knelt down, a crimson halberd appeared in front of him and pierced his chest forcefully. Then, fresh blood flowed from the wound and dyed Cho Zitao's clothes red. At the same time, the previously concealed Mo Qingyun gradually appeared in front of Cho Zitao. "You!" Cho Zitao's eyes widened as he watched Mo Qingyun pierce his own chest with the blazing halberd. He could not accept such an outcome. Pucci. Without waiting for Cho Zitao to speak, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and pulled out the blazing halberd that had pierced through Cho Zitao's body. As Mo Qingyun pulled out the blazing halberd, Cho Zitao's body lost its support and fell to the ground, dead. After killing Cho Zitao with a single halberd strike, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate at all. He moved to collect Cho Zitao's Qianquan bag and scoreboard. After collecting Cho Zitao's scoreboard, Mo Qingyun transferred Cho Zitao's points to his scoreboard. As he transferred Cho Zitao's points to himself, Mo Qingyun's points immediately soared and broke through the 1 billion mark. After a while, when Mo Qingyun's points stopped rising, his ranking had rushed to the first place. First place, Mo Qingyun, points, 1,308,638,550. Second place, Invincible Blade, points, 1,236, 424, 623rd place, Yuan Ba, points, 964, 553, 724th place, Zhu Jinlan, points, 896,542,145. Fifth place, Cho Jianfeng, points, 832,886,725. Sixth place, Lu Chao, points, 803, 729, 565. Eighth place, Yuan Chong, points, for 65, 378, 225. Ninth place, Jin Yu, points, 439,812,195. A bright smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face as he looked at the points of the top few rankers. "Finally, I'm in the first place." Seeing that he had entered the first place, Mo Qingyun was overjoyed. He smiled faintly and said, "Looking at it now, even if I don't kill Zhu Jinlan and the rest, as long as I kill another 2 people in the top 10, my ranking will still be stable in the first place." Right now, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with joy. Junior brother Mo is in the first place. By the side, Mo Qing and He Jilin both widened their eyes as their faces were filled with shock. Although they had guessed that Mo Qingyun's ranking would rush to the first place after he killed Cho Zitao, they were shocked. When they saw that Mo Qingyun had entered the first place, they were still very excited. Mo Qingyun, their junior brother, a disciple from the Six Seals sect, had actually rushed to the first place of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Such a thing had never happened in the past 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Outside the 10,000 World Valley, Mo Qingyun's ranking had rushed to the first place. At this moment, the crowd outside the Valley of the 10,000 Worlds was shocked when they saw that Mo Qingyun had rushed to the first place. The invincible blade had been surpassed by Mo Qingyun in the end. Could it be that the first place of this 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering would be Mo Qingyun? At this moment, this thought sprouted in everyone's minds and grew rapidly. When this thought appeared in everyone's minds, they felt that it was unreal. When Mo Qingyun entered the Valley of the 10,000 Worlds, he was only at the beginner stage of the Fifth Seal Realm. A beginner stage of the Fifth Seal Realm had actually become the first place of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. This was probably the first time in the history of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Qingyun, first place. Feng Huaida's body trembled as he stood rooted to the ground. He could not accept this result for a long time. It seems like it. At this moment, Elder Su and the rest were also shocked by the scene in front of them. First place. Yu Xianxin and the rest narrowed their eyes as their heartbeats quickened. They looked at Feng Huaid and the rest with envy. They were both Six Seals sects, but why was the difference so huge? The Mao Fu sect had actually recruited such a genius. First place. When the Wild Talisman sect and the rest saw this scene, their faces twitched as they revealed dejected expressions. They knew that from the current situation, they would not be able to avenge Zhou Qing. With the talent that Mo Qingyun had displayed, the Nine Seal sect would definitely protect him. They would not allow anyone to harm Mo Qingyun. First place, he really is first place. When the Heavenly Demon Talisman sect's elder saw Mo Qingyun enter first place, he immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. He said excitedly, "Good, good. Indeed, this brat did not disappoint me. Our Heavenly Demon Talisman sect must obtain him." When they heard the elder of the Sky Demon Talisman sect, the faces of Mo Cheng and the rest changed as their expressions turned solemn. They knew that once the Sky Demon Talisman sect obtained Mo Qingyun, there would be a bloodbath in the Immortal Road. Of course, while he was guarding against the Sky Demon Talisman sect, he was also guarding against the other sections. Chapter 674. Compared to other people's shock and surprise, the people from the Shadow Talisman sect were in a terrible mood. Cho Zitao, the disciple who was second only to Cho Jianfeng in the Shadow Talisman sect, was killed by Mo Qingyun. The Shadow Talisman sect could not tolerate such hatred. Elder Cho Wan, Zitao's name disappeared from the ranking. "Do you think it's Mo Qingyun?" One of the elders from the Shadow Talisman sect asked the gray-robed elder with a serious expression. Zitao was killed by Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's points are the same as Zitao's. Cho Wan's face darkened when he heard the elder's words. He said coldly, "Mo Qingyun, you're just from the Six Seals sect. How dare you kill a disciple of the Shadow Talisman sect? Even if you're talented, I won't let you continue to grow." Hearing Cho Wan's words, the faces of the people at the side sank, and their expressions became gloomy. Mo Qingyun had to pay the price for killing Cho Zitao. Everyone outside the Valley of Myriad Worlds was shocked by Mo Qingyun's performance. The disciples of the various sects in the Valley of Myriad Worlds were also shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun enter the first place on the ranking. "First place? I didn't expect you to surpass me. I'm looking forward to fighting you." Invincible Blade was stunned when he saw that Mo Qingyun had surpassed him on the ranking. Then he smiled brightly. Judging from his current expression, he didn't seem to care that his ranking had been surpassed. He only hoped to fight with Mo Qingyun. This kid actually entered the first place. Zhu Jinlan's face darkened when he saw that Mo Qingyun's ranking had increased again. He said coldly, I'll let you be happy for a while. When I find you, I'll kill you. Mo Qingyun, you're courting death. How dare you kill junior brother Zitao? Chou Jianfeng immediately understood that Chou Zitao was killed by Mo Qingyun when he saw that his name had disappeared from the ranking. The first place of this year's 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering is mine. Brat, you dare to snatch it from me? You will definitely die. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had surpassed the invincible blade and rushed to the first place, Yuan Ba's body emitted a murderous aura. This is getting more and more interesting. When Lu Chao saw Mo Qingyun's ranking, a sinister smile appeared on his face as he exuded a faint murderous vibe. Hiss! Mo Qingyun is so terrifying. He actually killed his way into first place. Seeing the change in Mo Qingyun's ranking, the Sweeping Eagle's 3 demons' faces twitched as a sense of lingering fear rose in their hearts. The 3 of them actually dared to rob the champion of the 10,000 Talismans Immortal Gathering. This was simply courting death. What was even more unbelievable to them was that they had actually survived after failing to rob Mo Qingyun. This was simply a miracle. Big brother, look at those 2. After a moment of shock, the 3 demons pointed at 2 young men who were facing each other on a hill. That is Yuan Chong, the little tyrant from Tyrannical Talisman Sect, and Jin Yu, the little painter from Elixir Talisman Sect. Let's leave this place quickly. When the 3 demons pointed at the 2 of them, the pockmarked young man's face twitched as he revealed a strong sense of respect. Hiss! I heard that the 2 of them are bloodthirsty. It's better for us to stay away from them. Looking at Yuan Chong and Jin Yu, the 2 demons' faces twitched as well as they revealed a sense of respect in their eyes. At this very moment, on the sand dune, Yuan Chong, the 2 of us have been fighting for 2 days without a clear winner. It's meaningless to continue fighting like this. Jin Yu revealed a sinister smile as he spoke to Yuan Chong. Then, he said, in my opinion, if the 2 of us want to determine the winner, perhaps we can use another method. Why don't you tell me how we can determine the winner? Hearing Jin Yu's words, Yuan Chong's expression changed slightly as he revealed a look of curiosity. During this period of time, that brat called Mo Qingyun has been very arrogant. His ranking has already charged to first place. When he spoke up to hear, Jin Yu's words paused for a moment, and his gaze revealed a trace of gloominess as he continued. How about this? The 2 of us will compete and see who kills Mo Qingyun first to decide the victor. Your suggestion isn't bad. We'll do as you say. Hearing Jin Yu's suggestion, Yuan Chong nodded his head in agreement. However, Yuan Chong's brows soon knitted tightly as he revealed a troubled expression as he said, but the Myriad World Valley is so big. How can we find Mo Qingyun? You don't have to worry about this. I've already thought about it. Hearing Yuan Chong's words, Jin Yu smiled coldly and opened his mouth to say, a few days ago, I heard from the Sword Talisman Sect that Mo Qingyun was hit by the Sword Talisman Sect's Blood Sword Rune Seal. They already discovered that Mo Qingyun is hiding in the south of the Sawtooth Rune Tiger Valley. There's actually such a thing. Hearing Jin Yu's words, Yuan Chong's expression changed slightly, revealing a look of surprise. Seeing Yuan Chong's surprised expression, Jin Yu smiled coldly and continued. The Sawtooth Rune Tiger Valley isn't far from here. With the 2 of our speed, we only need roughly half a day's time. Okay, we'll go right away. After hearing Jin Yu say this, Yuan Chong was not willing to hesitate anymore and prepared to immediately head over to kill Mo Qingyun. Okay. Seeing Yuan Chong's impatient expression, the cold smile on Jin Yu's face immediately became even more pronounced. Following that, this Jin Yu led the way in front, bringing Yuan Chong to the place where Mo Qingyun was at. Looking at this Jin Yu's familiar actions, he should have had a premeditated plan. However, the Yuan Chong beside him did not discover it. Hence, in the following time, Jin Yu and Yuan Chong went to find Mo Qingyun together. Half a day later, 2 auras of half a step 7 seals closed in on Mo Qingyun's place with extreme speed. 2 auras of half step 7 seals, powerhouses. Could it be that 2 big fishes came? Sensing these 2 powerful auras, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. A look of intense, pleasant surprise surfaced on his face. At this moment, Mo Qingyun had a feeling in his heart that the strength of these two people who arrived before his eyes should not be weaker than that Chou Zitao from before. This way, as long as he killed these two people, his ranking could stabilize at number 1. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was pondering in his heart, those two people emitting the aura of half-step 7 seals arrived in front of him with extreme speed. These two people arrived in front of Mo Qingyun. One of the youth with a rude and unreasonable expression said to Mo Qingyun in a cold voice, "Brat, have you seen a person called Mo Qingyun?" At this moment, the two people who arrived in front of Mo Qingyun were none other than precisely the Yuan Chong and Jinyu from before. "What are you looking for Mo Qingyun for?" Hearing Yuan Chong's words, Mo Qingyun revealed an amused smile. The other party, indeed, came to look for him. At present, when Mo Qingyun's words fell, the Jinyu by the side smiled sinisterly and said to the Yuan Chong by his side, "Yuan Chong, he's Mo Qingyun. However, I'll take Mo Qingyun's head first." When Jinyu's words fell, he immediately took out a talisman and detonated it, showing the appearance of wanting to make a move against Mo Qingyun. "He's Mo Qingyun." Chapter 675. "Ho, is that so?" Towards Yuan Chong's words, Jinyu just smiled faintly, seemingly not caring about it. Not just that, after Yuan Chong made a move against Mo Qingyun at this moment, Jinyu immediately stopped the movements of his hands. Following that, this Jinyu revealed a sinister smile on his face, silently watching Yuan Chong make a move against Mo Qingyun by the side. Seeing Jinyu's abnormal actions, Yuan Chong's brows immediately furrowed, feeling a trace of something amiss. Although he, Yuan Chong, had a violent personality and was impulsive, it did not mean that he was a fool. Just now, Jinyu was still rushing to make a move against Mo Qingyun. But the moment he saw him make a move against Mo Qingyun, Jinyu directly withstood it. One had to admit that Jinyu's current actions were somewhat abnormal. "Jinyu, what's the meaning of this?" At this instant, Yuan Chong faintly felt that he seemed to have been tricked by Jinyu and said unhappily, "Didn't we agree previously that we'll make a move against Mo Qingyun together and see who can kill him first? Why aren't you making a move now? Am I not giving you a chance here?" Towards Yuan Chong's words, Jinyu smiled sinisterly and replied, "If you can kill Mo Qingyun alone, wouldn't the bet between you and me be considered your win?" Hearing Jinyu say so, Yuan Chong's expression changed slightly and did not feel that there was anything wrong either. Of course, the reason why Yuan Chong would think so was primarily because he felt that he could kill Mo Qingyun alone. Otherwise, the thoughts in his heart would probably be another way again. After a brief moment of musing, Yuan Chong revealed a smug, cold smile and said to Jinyu, "If that's the case, don't you regret not making a move to kill Mo Qingyun together with me later?" "Hoo, you can rest assured about this. I, Jinyu, have always kept my word." Hearing Yuan Chong's words, Jinyu's face revealed a faint smile as he replied, continuing, "However, this Mo Qingyun's strength isn't weak. I think that you might not be able to deal with him." "Humph, you don't need to worry about this." Hearing this, Yuan Chong snorted coldly and said some displeased words. Seeing Jinyu's actions, Mo Qingyun immediately understood Jinyu's thoughts. He revealed a faint smile and said, "Jinyu, you want me to make Yuan Chong and Yuan Chong fight. At that time, you reap the benefits of the fisherman. I'm afraid that you'll be disappointed." Yuan Chong was not a fool. After Mo Qingyun's words, he immediately understood the crux of the matter. "Jinyu, you despicable villain, to actually want to do dirty work." Yuan Chong glared at Jinyu and said, "Mo Qingyun, I was careless this time and got played by Jinyu." After glaring angrily at Jinyu, Yuan Chong turned his head to look at Mo Qingyun and discussed with Mo Qingyun, "Next, let's join hands and kill that brat. When the time comes, how about we split his points 30 to 70? 30-70? Hearing this Yuan Chong's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze slightly, somewhat surprised by this Yuan Chong's plan. Hearing Yuan Chang's expression, Jin Yu's expression turned slightly intent. The expression on his face became somewhat solemn, and he said to Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun, you mustn't fall for Yuan Chang's trick. In a while, you guys join hands to kill me. He'll definitely kill you too. Jin Yu, you don't need to sow discord here. Hearing Jin Yu's words, Yuan Chang's expression immediately became enraged. Turning around, he said to Mo Qingyun again, how about this, Mo Qingyun, after you and I join hands to kill Jin Yu, we'll split the points on him 40-60. Me 60, you 40. 40-60? When Mo Qingyun heard that, the smile on his face became even wider, but he still shook his head. Mo Qingyun, don't reach for a yard after taking an inch. You taking 40% is already quite a lot. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Yuan Chang's expression immediately became displeased. He said in a cold tone, you should know that in the following process of dealing with Jin Yu, it mainly still needs me to take action. You're just interfering with Jin Yu by the side. Hoo-hoo, Yuan Chang, you don't need to think of coaxing Mo Qingyun anymore. He won't fall for your trick. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Jin Yu's expression involuntarily eased up. His heart that was originally in suspense put down. In his view, Mo Qingyun and Yuan Chang probably could not come to an agreement. The moment he heard Jin Yu's words, Yuan Chang revealed an expression of gnashing his teeth in hatred. Looking at Mo Qingyun, his expression was grim as he said, Mo Qingyun, this is my final concession. The points on Jin Yu will split 50-50. No, you've misunderstood my meaning. Seeing that Yuan Chang still did not understand his meaning, Mo Qingyun immediately shook his head. His face revealed a brilliant smile as he explained, if that's the case, I'll say it a little more clearly. What I mean is I want the points on you, and I want the points on him too. The moment Mo Qingyun's words came out of his mouth, Jin Yu and Yuan Chang's expressions froze, being extremely surprised by Mo Qingyun's words. They seriously did not think that Mo Qingyun would actually be so insatiably greedy, wanting to take both of their points. Humph, quite the tone. I want to see if you have this ability or not. Mo Qingyun, want to snatch my points? Better wait until you defeat Yuan Chang first. After a brief moment of musing, Yuan Chang and Jin Yu, the two people, both revealed cold expressions as they said a sentence of furious words to Mo Qingyun. Want to snatch my points? With just you, Mo Qingyun, it's still not enough. Yuan Chang's face revealed a gloomy expression. After saying those furious words, he made a move against Mo Qingyun once more. Limitless, tyrannical body, talisman. Yuan Chang said a gloomy sentence. He then took out a talisman from within his body and activated it to augment his body. The moment this talisman augmented Yuan Chang's body erupted with a resplendent golden light. Activated the limitless tyrannical body, talisman, Looking at it like this, Yuan Chang is planning on ending the battle quickly. Seeing Yuan Chang's actions at this moment, the smile on Jin Yu's face grew even wider as he said with a cold smile, Yuan Chang, since you've activated the limitless tyrannical body talisman, I want to see what you have to fight with me next. Mo Qingyun, prepare to die. At present, when that Jin Yu harbored ulterior motives, Yuan Chang's face revealed a rude and unreasonable expression as he swiftly rushed towards Mo Qingyun. Seeing Yuan Chang rushing towards him with extreme speed, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed slightly. Holding the Moxibustion flame halberd in his hand, he stabbed out towards Yuan Chang. Clank! Following the Moxibustion flame, halberd smashing onto Yuan Chang's body, a crisp sound immediately rang out. However, it did not pierce through Yuan Chang's body. Thump! Thump! Receiving Mo Qingyun's halberd bombardment, Yuan Chang was immediately blasted back repeatedly, leaving behind a series of deep footprints on the ground. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that under this halberd of his, apart from being blasted back, Yuan Chang did not seem to have suffered any injuries. Mo Qingyun, under the augmentation of the limitless tyrannical body talisman, I, Yuan Chang, am invincible. You can't breach my defense. Seeing that he was fine after forcefully withstanding Mo Qingyun's halberd, Yuan Chang's face revealed a pleased smile, as if victory was already within his grasp. Yuan Chang, you're being cocky too early. Chapter 676. Primordial Fiend Melody Lute Artifact Talisman. The moment Mo Qingyun's words faded, he took out the Primordial Fiend Melody Lute Artifact Talisman and activated it without the slightest hesitation. The moment the Primordial Fiend Melody Lute Artifact Talisman was activated, it immediately flourished with a brilliant light, transforming into a jade lute shadow. Following that, one wave after another of magical sound waves like water waves emitted from the strings of the lute shadow, spreading out towards the surroundings with extreme speed. Under the rapid impact of this magical sound wave, Yuan Chang, who bore the brunt of the impact, was instantly blasted, his soul receiving the intense impact of the magical sound wave. Poor. With his soul receiving the impact of the magical sound wave, Yuan Chang's complexion immediately turned pale, vomiting out some fresh blood from his mouth. Following that, Yuan Chang's consciousness became absent-minded, his gaze becoming empty and lifeless, his entire person like he lost his soul. Seeing Yuan Chang lose the strength to fight under the impact of the magical sound wave, Mo Qingyun no longer paid attention to him and turned his head to look at Jinyu by the side. Mo Qingyun said coldly, "Since Yuan Chang already lost the battle, next, it's the time to take care of you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jinyu's expression immediately became solemn, his eyes revealing some dread. He seriously did not expect that Yuan Chang, whose strength was on par with his, would actually display so weak under Mo Qingyun's attack. Such a scene happening made Jinyu unconsciously view Mo Qingyun a bit higher in his heart. Mo Qingyun, I admit that you're very capable to actually finish Yuan Chang off so easily. But I'm different from Yuan Chang. Jinyu looked at Mo Qingyun with a solemn expression. After saying those cold words, he continued, "If you want to defeat me, it absolutely won't be so simple. Following this, I'll let you experience our Pill Seal School's methods. Void-shattering Pill Talisman." The moment Jinyu's words fell, he took out a talisman from within his body and activated this talisman without the slightest hesitation. Under the augmentation of this void-shattering pill talisman, Jinyu's cultivation immediately rose, breaking through the realm of 7 seals in a blink of an eye. After a moment, when the aura on Jinyu's body stabilized, his cultivation already reached peak 7th seal initial stage. Mo Qingyun, there's an entire realm of difference between our cultivations. I like to see how you're going to fight me. Activating the original elixir talisman in his body and raising his cultivation to the 7th seal, Jinyu looked at Mo Qingyun proudly. "Is this what you're relying on? If that's the case, I'll cripple your backing." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly when he heard this. His gaze was filled with deep meaning as he looked at Jinyu and said, "In addition, let me tell you something else. You think too highly of yourself. Actually, in my eyes, you're even worse than Yuan Chang. Seal gate, seal for me." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not waste words with Jinyu and directly executed the martial soul divine ability, Sealed Gate. Following that, a miniature version of the light door condensed and formed in Mo Qingyun's hand with extreme speed, blasting towards Jinyu in a domineering manner. Seeing Mo Qingyun execute the martial soul divine ability, Jinyu's expression immediately turned serious, his gaze revealing a look of dread. Heavenly Flame Pill Explosion Talisman. Jinyu's wrist shook, and he quickly took out a talisman and activated it, wanting to use it to block the sealed gate. After the Heavenly Flame Pill Explosion Talisman was activated, a terrifying aura was emitted from within, heading towards the sealed gate. "Explode for me." After the Heavenly Flame Pill Explosion Talisman and the sealed gate approached, Jinyu's expression fell, and he formed hand seals to detonate it. Bang! After a loud bang, the Heavenly Flame Pill Explosion Talisman exploded, transforming into a terrifying storm, swallowing the sealed gate inside. Seeing the sealed gate being engulfed by the heavenly flame pill explosion talisman storm, a brilliant smile surfaced on Jin Yu's face, his expression revealing a trace of complacency. But very soon, the smile on Jin Yu's face froze. His face revealed intense shock. How is this possible? How can the heavenly flame pill explosion talisman not be able to block that light door? At this moment, Jin Yu discovered to his shock that the heavenly flame pill explosion talisman's talisman energy storm actually did not cause the slightest bit of damage to the sealed gate. The level 7 talisman, heavenly flame pill explosion talisman, was actually ineffective against the sealed gate. This result far exceeded his expectations. Swish! At present, while Jin Yu was shocked in his heart, the sealed gate passed through the force storm with extreme speed, slamming onto his body domineeringly. Following that, Jin Yu felt his divine soul tremble, suffering a tyrannical power, suppressing and sealing. Poor. Under the suppression of this tyrannical power, it immediately made Jin Yu's mind suffer damage, vomiting a mouthful of fresh blood from his mouth. Following that, the aura on Jin Yu's body started weakening rapidly. Before long, when Jin Yu's cultivation went from peak initial stage 7 seal, it fell to peak middle stage 6 seal. Peak middle stage 6 seal. Sensing his own cultivation falling, Jin Yu's complexion immediately turned pale, revealing a strong sense of terror as he said, How? How can it be like this? Why did my cultivation fall? Towards Jin Yu's shocking words, Mo Qingyun did not pay attention to it. Looking at him with an indifferent expression, he said, Now, your reliance is already gone. Next, it's time to send you on your way. Concealed gate. When Mo Qingyun's words faded, he no longer hesitated and immediately displayed the martial soul divine ability, Concealed Gate. The Concealed Gate was applied onto Mo Qingyun's body. His figure gradually faded, slowly vanishing before Jin Yu's eyes. Vanished. Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure vanish, Jin Yu's expression immediately twitched, becoming even more fearful of Mo Qingyun as he said incoherently, Impossible. How do you know the Shadow Talisman's sex concealment method? At this moment, seeing Mo Qingyun display shocking means time and time again, Jin Yu was already unable to maintain calm anymore. After a brief moment of panic, Jin Yu did not dare to continue staying any longer. An intention to retreat sprouted in his heart. At this moment, he had a feeling in his heart that if he still did not leave, he would probably really have to hand it over today. Flee. The moment this thought arose in Jin Yu's heart, he no longer hesitated and immediately turned around, wanting to flee. Seeing Jin Yu's actions, Mo Qingyun revealed a hint of a faint smile, his gaze revealing a hint of mockery. Gravity suppression. Following that, Mo Qingyun arrived beside Jin Yu with a flash, releasing the power of Earth. Following Mo Qingyun releasing the power of Earth, a pressure comparable to a small mountain immediately descended onto Jin Yu's body. Under the suppression of this pressure, Jin Yu's legs immediately went soft, his body leaning forward, and his action of fleeing was also stopped. Not only that, when Jin Yu's body was leaning forward, a halberd that emitted a shocking heat wave pierced into his chest domineeringly. Swish! Under the overbearing impact of the halberd, it instantly pierced Jin Yu's clothes, piercing through his chest. A halberd piercing through Jin Yu's chest, Mo Qingyun's figure gradually revealed, standing in front of Jin Yu with a calm expression. Ew. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who revealed his figure before him, Jin Yu's eyes widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. Jin Yu, a genius whose talent was second only to Lu Chao in the Pill Talisman sect, a Heaven's Pride ranked in the top 10 of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Association, was actually killed by a 6 seal initial stage brat at this moment. Swish! Chapter 677. As Mo Qingyun pulled out the blazing halberd, Jin Yu's eyes widened as he fell forward unwillingly. Looking at Jin Yu, who fell in front of him, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and took away his Chinquan bag and scoreboard. After taking away Jin Yu's Chinquan bag and scoreboard, Mo Qingyun turned his head and looked at Yuan Chong, who was at the side, preparing to kill Yuan Chong. Glancing at Yuan Chong indifferently, Mo Qingyun revealed a cold expression and slowly walked towards Yuan Chong. At that moment, Yuan Chong was under the impact of the magical sound wave and was completely in a trance. He was completely unaware of Mo Qingyun's approach. Arriving in front of Yuan Chong, Mo Qingyun glanced at him coldly and raised his hand to grab his head. Grabbing Yuan Chong's head with one hand, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately blasted a soul power into Yuan Chong's head. The moment the soul power blasted into Yuan Chong's mind, it caused a strong impact on his soul, instantly causing Yuan Chong's soul to be injured again. Poof! With his soul being injured again, Yuan Chong's face turned pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, under this attack of Mo Qingyun's, Yuan Chong's consciousness recovered. Mo Qingyun, if you have the ability, fight me head-on. Regaining consciousness, Yuan Chong immediately glared at Mo Qingyun with his eyes wide open, wishing he could skin Mo Qingyun and pull out his tendons. Even if we fight head-on, you have no chance at all. As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he raised his hand and waved it in the air, drawing strange runes. Once these runes were drawn, they emitted a strong formation power, causing one's expression to change unconsciously. Formation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Yuan Chong's expression immediately twitched. He was extremely shocked by Mo Qingyun's methods. He could not imagine that a kid from the Six Seals sect would know such a powerful move. With Mo Qingyun's current abilities, even in the Nine Seals sect, he would most likely be considered a genius. Heaven-burning meteor flame array rise. While Yuan Chong was still in shock, the formation runes drawn by Mo Qingyun suddenly shone brightly, turning into a red light curtain that shrouded Yuan Chong. Yuan Chong's expression immediately tensed up when he saw the array formation's light screen coming towards him. He wanted to turn around and escape to prevent himself from being trapped by the array formation's light screen. Gravity suppression. However, Yuan Chong did not turn around to flee. He felt a terrifying pressure pressing down on him. Under the pressure of this gravity, Yuan Chong immediately felt his legs go soft. He staggered and almost fell. However, although Yuan Chong did not directly fall, he also lost the opportunity to escape because of this delay and was directly enveloped by the meteorite flame sky burning array. Seeing that the meteorite flame sky burning array had enveloped Yuan Chong, Mo Qingyun said coldly, "Yuan Chong, although your limitless tyrant body talisman is not bad, I don't believe that you can activate it without limit." After saying this coldly, Mo Qingyun activated the meteorite flame sky burning array and bombarded Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation. Then, streaks of meteorite flames that were enough to force a Seven Seals elite to dodge were rapidly condensed in the array formation and bombarded Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation. Mo Qingyun, you cowardly scoundrel. If you have the ability, then fight me head-on. Looking at the meteorite flames that were rapidly approaching him, Yuan Chong was immediately enraged and roared loudly at Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun chose to ignore his roars and focused on controlling the meteorite flame sky burning array to bombard him. As Mo Qingyun controlled the meteorite flame sky burning array and bombarded Yuan Chong continuously, Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation, gradually admitted defeat. Mo Qingyun, I was wrong. What do I have to do for you to let me go? I made a move against you this time because I was bewitched by Jin Yu. Can you give me a chance to turn over a new leaf? Mo Qingyun, there was originally no enmity between you and me. Why must you wholeheartedly kill me and become enemies with the tyrannical talisman sect? Seeing that he was unable to maintain the peerless tyrant body talisman, Yuan Chong revealed an anxious expression and started to beg Mo Qingyun for mercy. When Mo Qingyun saw Yuan Chong's performance, He looked at Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation, with ridicule, and said indifferently, "To me, whether you were bewitched by Jin Yu or not is not important. Since you chose to make a move against me, then you will have to suffer my revenge." After replying to Yuan Chong, Mo Qingyun revealed a disdainful expression and said, "Also, let me tell you one more thing. A tiny tyrannical talisman sect is nothing in my eyes." After replying to Jin Yu, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold and indifferent as he continued to control the sky-burning meteorite flame array to bombard Yuan Chong. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was unwilling to let him go, Yuan Chong's expression immediately became venomous as he angrily said, "Mo Qingyun, I'm a genius of the tyrannical talisman sect. If you kill me, even if you enter the Nine Seals sect, the tyrannical talisman sect will not let you off. You don't have to worry about that." Mo Qingyun indifferently replied to Yuan Chong and revealed an impatient expression as he continued, "You came together with Jin Yu. Now that Jin Yu has already been killed by me, I'd better send you to accompany him." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he activated the sky-burning meteorite flame array with all his might and crazily bombarded Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation. Following that, under the crazy bombardment of the sky-burning meteorite flame array, some injuries gradually appeared on Yuan Chong's body. From the looks of it, he had already reached a limit in maintaining the peerless tyrant body talisman and was gradually losing strength. Seeing that, Mo Qingyun's expression became even colder as he attacked Yuan Chong even more fiercely. After a short while, Yuan Chong, who was within the array formation, was finally unable to withstand the bombardment of the meteorite flames and was killed by the array with an unwilling expression. After using the sky-burning meteorite flame array to kill Yuan Chong, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed as he arrived beside Yuan Chong's corpse and took away his Chinquan bag and scoreboard. After taking out Yuan Chong's Chinquan bag and scoreboard, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately transferred all of Yuan Chong's and Jin Yu's points to his scoreboard. With the addition of Jin Yu's and Jin Yu's points, Mo Qingyun's points immediately rose rapidly and broke through 2 billion in the blink of an eye. First place, Mo Qingyun, points 2. 2465-38620. Second place, Invincible Blade, points 1. 435-426-620. Third place, Yuan Ba, 1,544,653,720 points. Fourth place, Zhu Jinlan, points 1. 165-32140. Fifth place, Chou Jianfeng, points 1. 127866625. Sixth place, Lu Chao, points 998726560. Seeing the situation of the top 10, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face became even wider. It seemed that his chances of becoming the champion of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering had increased. I've already surpassed Invincible Blade by 800 million points. Seeing the difference in points between himself and Invincible Blade, Mo Qingyun revealed a bright smile and thought, "There is still 1.5 days left before the end of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. If nothing goes wrong, I should be able to secure the first place. However, to be safe, I still need to obtain more points." Although there was a difference of 800 million points between him and Invincible Blade, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. After all, the reward for becoming the champion of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering was related to whether he could return to the Tianhan continent. Chapter 678. Outside the Myriad World Valley. When everyone saw the changes on the light screen, their expressions immediately changed. Their faces were filled with intense shock. Mo Qingyun's points had exceeded 2 billion. Apart from that, Yuan Chong, who was ranked 8th, and Jin Yu, who was ranked 9th, had disappeared from the light screen. Didn't that mean that Yuan Chong and Jin Yu were dead? Judging from Mo Qingyun's points, Jin Yu and Yuan Chong might have been killed by Mo Qingyun. Do you think that Jin Yu and Yuan Chong were killed by Mo Qingyun? It's possible that Mo Qingyun's points are equal to the total of Jin Yu and Yuan Chang's points. This Mo Qingyun is crazy. He even killed Jin Yu and Yuan Chang. Doesn't that mean that Mo Qingyun has made enemies with 4 of the 5 absolute sect? At that moment, everyone was shocked by the discovery. Mo Qingyun's actions were crazy. A disciple of the 6 Seals sect dared to kill the disciples of the 5 absolute sect. Only Mo Qingyun would do that. Elder Qiu Wan, Elder Yuan De, and Elder Jin Kai. This Mo Qingyun is arrogant and has killed our disciples one after another. What do the 3 of you think? Seeing that the disciples of the Tyrannical Talisman sect, Shadow Talisman sect, and Elixir Talisman sect had been killed by Mo Qingyun, an elder from the Sword Talisman sect asked for their opinion. Humph! Even if Mo Qingyun is talented, he has to pay a painful price for killing the genius disciples of the Tyrannical Talisman sect, Yuan De said while gritting his teeth. Although Yuan Chang's talent in the Tyrannical Talisman sect was not as good as Yuan Ba's, Yuan Chang was his grandnephew and was considered his direct descendant. Now that he was killed by Mo Qingyun in the Myriad World Valley, how could he let go of such hatred easily? This Mo Qingyun is merely from a 6 Seal sect. Now that he has killed the disciples of 5 8 Seal sects, he must be severely punished. The silver-haired elder from the Wild Talisman sect interjected when he saw the disciples of the 4 unique sects being killed by Mo Qingyun. In his opinion, if this was the case, there might be hope for Zhou Qing's revenge. This matter is not urgent for now. Once the 10,000 Talismans Immortal Gathering is over, we will report it to the elders of the 9 Seals sect. Seeing everyone's reaction, Jin Kai's expression turned cold. He suggested to everyone, with us 5 sects appearing together, I think even the 9 Seals sect will have to be wary. Hearing Jin Kai's words, Qiu Wan and the others nodded in agreement with Jin Kai's suggestion. This Mo Qingyun is truly audacious. He actually killed the genius disciples of the 4 unique sects. Upon seeing this scene, a blue-clothed elder from the Blade Talisman sect could not help but exclaim, "This Mo Qingyun is not bad. It's a pity that his background is slightly inferior." Hearing the elder's words, Zhu Wuing let out a sigh and said, "This Mo Qingyun is extremely talented and has a ferocious heart. If he has a good background, he will definitely achieve great things in the future. I hope he can overcome this crisis." Elder Wuing is right. If Mo Qingyun is a disciple of our Blade Talisman sect, we won't have to worry about the revenge of the 4 unique sects. Upon hearing Zhu Wuing's words, the blue-clothed elder nodded and said, "However, with the talent that Mo Qingyun has displayed, I'm afraid the 9 Seals sect will protect him with all their might." It's not that simple. Zhu Wuing shook his head when he heard that. His expression became rather heavy as he said in a deep voice, "Mo Qingyun hasn't joined any sect yet. The various 9 Seal sects will protect him greatly. However, once he decides to join a 9 Seal sect, the other 9 Seal sects won't allow him to continue growing." Upon hearing Zhu Wuing's words, the people from the Blade Talisman sect fell silent. Their hearts turned heavy. They clearly understood the meaning behind Zhu Wuing's words. The 9 Seals sects were currently in a state of balance. Mo Qingyun's appearance could possibly break this balance. If that was the case, the various 9 Seal sects would naturally not allow Mo Qingyun to break the balance before them. Therefore, the 9 Seal sects that did not have Mo Qingyun would naturally not allow Mo Qingyun to continue growing. This kid actually killed the genius disciples of the 4 unique sects. I'm afraid there will be a lot of trouble in the future. That's right. The 4 unique sects are not like the Wild Talisman sect. There are some old fellows behind them. In that case, Mo Qingyun has become a hot potato. If we take him in, I'm afraid the 4 unique sects will be unhappy. Upon seeing this scene, the expressions of Mo Chang and the rest turned solemn. Their faces were filled with a strong sense of difficulty. At this moment, they were somewhat hesitant about recruiting Mo Qingyun. Compared to Mo Chang and the rest, the Sky Demon Talisman sect elderly fans' thoughts were completely opposite. Humph! The 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering is a life and death experience. Those kids can only blame themselves for being too weak when they were killed by Mo Qingyun. Li Fan's face was filled with disdain as he spoke. He then continued, "If that's the case, shouldn't those 6 seals and 7 seals sect's ordinary disciples also join forces to protest and take revenge after being killed by the 8 seals sect disciples?" Upon hearing Li Fan's words, Mo Chung and the rest were at a loss for words. They could not refute Li Fan. Li Fan's words were not wrong. In the eyes of the crowd, the so-called right and wrong was simply whether one was powerful enough or not. If one was powerful enough, even if one was wrong, no one would dare to refute one. However, if one was not powerful enough, even if one was right, the truth would be distorted by others. One would be accused of being wrong. This was the so-called saying that one's words carried little weight. Inside the Myriad World Valley, as Mo Qingyun killed Yuan Chong and Jin Yu, Mo Qingyun's level of terror in the hearts of the crowd immediately rose rapidly. Senior brother Wang Xiao, Mo Qingyun killed Jin Yu and Yuan Chong. Should I still find trouble with him? Mo Qingyun is not someone we can deal with. Even if we are punished by the Sword Talisman sect, we can't provoke him anymore. With Mo Qingyun's current strength, I'm afraid even if Zhu Jinlan takes action personally, he can't do anything to him. At that moment, the disciples of the Sword Talisman sect who were dependent on the Sword Talisman sect dismissed the idea of killing Mo Qingyun. They were very clear that with the fighting strength that Mo Qingyun had displayed, no one in the Myriad World Valley could suppress him. However, the thoughts of Zhu Jinlan and the others were exactly the opposite of these disciples. Damn Mo Qingyun. He killed Jin Yu and Yuan Chong. If I had known earlier, I would have killed him as soon as he entered the Myriad World Valley. I will reach the Sawtooth Talisman Tiger Valley in 1 day's time. Mo Qingyun, prepare to die. Mo Qingyun, no matter how many points you get, they will all belong to me. Yuan Bideo. Mo Qingyun, I didn't want to take action against you. However, you killed the disciples of the Elixir Talisman sect. You can't blame me for this. Even I, Invincible Blade, dare not kill the genius disciples of the 4 unique sects. Mo Qingyun, you are indeed extraordinary. At that moment, Invincible Blade and the rest were flying at full speed towards the Sawtooth Talisman Tiger Valley. Chapter 679. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. In a secluded valley in the south of the serrated Tiger Valley. This is strange. Why hasn't anyone come to kill me for a whole day? Mo Qingyun frowned when he saw that no one had come to kill him even after an entire day had passed. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the Mo Qing duo by the side immediately revealed gloomy expressions. In the Myriad World Valley, Mo Qingyun was probably the only one who thought that others would come to kill him. Seeing the bitter looks on their faces, Mo Qingyun frowned and started to think, this can't go on. It seems like I have to take the initiative to attack. As no one had come to kill Mo Qingyun for a whole day, Mo Qingyun realized that the gap between him and Invincible Blade had shrunk to only 300 million points. There was only half a day left before the end of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering. If he still did not increase his points, he might be overtaken by Invincible Blade. Therefore, in order to ensure that he could get the first place in the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering, Mo Qingyun decided to stay and take the initiative to snatch the points of other disciples. Senior brother Mo, senior sister Jilan, let's go. Mo Qingyun made a decision in his heart. He gave Mo Qing and Mo Qingyun some instructions before he got up and left the place. Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Mo Qing and Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and hurriedly followed after him. Not long after Mo Qingyun and the other 2 left, 4 figures flew towards the place at an extremely fast speed. All of them were emitting a terrifying aura. These 4 figures were none other than Zhu Jinlan and the other 3 who were rushing towards the place at an extremely fast speed. When Zhu Jinlan and the other 3 arrived, they were surprised when they did not see Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun is not here. Did he leave the place? Humph. I didn't expect Mo Qingyun to run away in advance. At least he knows his place. He can't run away. As long as we sense the Crimson Sword seal on him, we can find him easily. In that case, we don't have to hesitate anymore. Let's go after that guy immediately. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was no longer here, Zhu Jinlan and the rest did not stay any longer and immediately set off to chase after Mo Qingyun. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun must have been afraid of being hunted down by them, so he left in fear. Mo Qingyun has already left. Just as Zhu Jinlan and the other three left, a figure arrived at an extremely fast speed. There was a look of astonishment on his face. After a brief moment of surprise, the figure revealed a faint smile and muttered to himself, Mo Qingyun has been struck by the blood sword symbol. It will be very easy for Zhu Jinlan to find him. In that case, I only need to follow Zhu Jinlan and the others. After thinking about this, the figure did not continue to stay and chased after Zhu Jinlan and the others. At that moment, while Zhu Jinlan and the others were looking for Mo Qingyun was frantically seizing points. With Mo Qingyun's frantic seizing of points, his points immediately rose rapidly, once again widening the gap between him and Invincible Blade and the others. About half a day later, the gap between Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade's points had once again widened to 500 million points. In that case, my first place should be secure. Seeing the gap between him and Invincible Blade, Mo Qingyun's face revealed a bright smile, and his suspended heart was slightly relieved. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. However, at that moment, just as Mo Qingyun was feeling happy, four figures flew towards him at an extremely fast speed, emitting a cold aura from their bodies. In a short while, the four figures arrived in front of Mo Qingyun, looking at Mo Qingyun with a gloomy and cold expression. The four figures were naturally Zhu Jinlan and the others were searching for Mo Qingyun. You're finally here. Looking at Zhu Jinlan and the other three in front of him, Mo Qingyun's face revealed a faint smile. He was slightly surprised and said, I didn't expect the four of you to come together. This is really a surprise. Mo Qingyun, let's see where you can escape to this time. Zhu Jinlan's face was ferocious, and he glared at Mo Qingyun fiercely. He sneered proudly and said, You think you can escape from our pursuit after leaving the southern part of the Sawtooth Rune Tiger Valley? Let me tell you, as long as you don't remove the Crimson Sword Rune seal on your body, you will never be able to escape from the pursuit of our Sword Rune sect. When Zhu Jinlan said those cold words, Chou Jianfeng's face also darkened. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said coldly, Mo Qingyun, without Invincible Blade's intervention this time, I'll see if you can get away with it. At this moment, Yuan Ba also sneered. He raised his head and said arrogantly, Mo Qingyun, originally, I, Yuan Ba, disdained to take action against you. However, you shouldn't have snatched 2 billion points and rushed to the first place of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering. Mo Qingyun, originally, I just wanted to watch a good show. However, since you killed the people of my Pill Rune sect, you can't blame me for this. Jin Yu said coldly to Mo Qingyun, with a gloomy expression and a trace of killing intent in his eyes. At this moment, Zhu Jinlan and the others were coldly saying those cold words to Mo Qingyun. A figure flew over rapidly. As the figure approached, he laughed at Mo Qingyun and said, Mo Qingyun, you really didn't disappoint me. You're much stronger than these few pieces of trash. Invincible Blade. When Zhu Jinlan and the others saw the approaching figure, their expressions froze and their eyes were filled with intense fear. They didn't expect Invincible Blade to come as well. If Invincible Blade intervened later, it would be troublesome for them to deal with Mo Qingyun. It seems that I'm afraid I'll have to fight with you for the time being. Seeing Invincible Blade's arrival, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, Why don't you wait at the side for a while? After I've dealt with these 4 guys, I'll fight with you to my heart's content. Invincible Blade and the others were stunned when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They were shocked by Mo Qingyun's words at this moment. Judging from Mo Qingyun's words, it seemed that he wanted to kill Zhu Jinlan and the other three by himself. It was undeniable that Mo Qingyun's words were too arrogant. With these four guys here, it's true that we can't fight to our heart's content. In that case, I'll join forces with you to kill them first. After being stunned for a short while, Invincible Blade smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun and decided to join forces with Mo Qingyun to kill Zhu Jinlan and the other three. From Invincible Blade's point of view, it was indeed very uncomfortable for him to be watched covetously by Zhu Jinlan and the other three while he was fighting with Mo Qingyun. In that case, it would be better to get rid of Zhu Jinlan and the other three before he fought with Mo Qingyun, so as to avoid trouble when they fought later. Invincible Blade, don't go too far. Hearing Invincible Blade's words, Zhu Jinlan and the other three's faces twitched and their expressions instantly became solemn. They were very clear about Invincible Blade's strength in their hearts. If Invincible Blade really intervened, although he might not be able to kill them, he could still pin them down. In that case, it would be very troublesome for the four of them to deal with Mo Qingyun. No need. I alone am enough to deal with the four of them. Chapter 680. You want to deal with them alone? Seeing that Mo Qingyun had rejected his good intentions, the Invincible Blade's expression immediately froze, revealing a look of surprise. He really didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have such a plan. It was too crazy. In his opinion, even if he were to fight Zhu Jinlan and the other three alone, he would not have much confidence in winning. Subsequently, the way the Invincible Saber looked at Mo Qingyun also changed. Yes, in response to Invincible Blade's surprised words, Mo Qingyun looked serious and nodded at him. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was so insistent, Invincible Blade did not say anything more and walked to the side silently. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had rejected Invincible Blade's help, Zhu Jinlan and the others were relieved and sneered proudly. Mo Qingyun, since you are looking for death, don't blame us. Originally, I was worried that Invincible Blade would intervene and it would be troublesome for us to deal with you. I didn't expect you to solve it for us. Mo Qingyun, you are too arrogant. I will let you pay the price for your arrogance. At that moment, Zhu Jinlan and the others sneered and said proudly to Mo Qingyun. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun's action was no different from looking for death. Cut the crap. Let's do it. Invincible Blade is waiting for me to fight with him. Mo Qingyun revealed an impatient expression when he saw the behavior of Zhu Jinlan and the others, and urged them to hurry up. Mo Qingyun, since you are in a hurry to be reincarnated, we will fulfill your wish. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhu Jinlan's face darkened, and he stopped talking nonsense with Mo Qingyun. Then, Zhu Jinlan and the others took out their life talismans and wanted to crush Mo Qingyun with their strongest moves. Boom, boom, boom. However, at that moment, when Zhu Jinlan and the others were about to take action, the ground of the Valley of the Myriad Worlds suddenly shook. After this discovery, everyone's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of surprise. After a brief moment of shock, Invincible Blade and the others understood the reason for the commotion in the Valley of the Myriad Worlds. It was time for the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering, and the people in the Myriad World Valley were about to be forcefully sent out. The assessment of the 10,000 Talisman's Immortal Gathering is over. We are unable to make a move against Mo Qingyun. Damn it, the assessment ended at this time. That brat managed to avoid another calamity. Mo Qingyun, you don't have to be so proud. Once we leave the Myriad World Valley, we will slowly deal with you. Mo Qingyun, let's continue our battle outside the Myriad Worlds Valley. After such a discovery, Invincible Blade and the others were all in different moods. They told Mo Qingyun one after another. Good. After leaving the Myriad World Valley, I will definitely fight you with all my strength. Hearing Invincible Blade's words, Mo Qingyun replied with a faint smile. As for what Zhu Jinlan and the others said, he directly chose to ignore them. At that moment, after Mo Qingyun's words fell, he felt an overbearing force forcefully sending him out of the Myriad World Valley. After a while, Mo Qingyun saw the scene in front of him blurring, and his figure disappeared from the spot. After a while, when Mo Qingyun saw the scene in front of him clearly, he was already outside the Myriad World Valley. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that when he arrived outside the Myriad World Valley, Invincible Blade was also by his side. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's face turned grave. He said to Mo Qing and He Zhilan, who were beside him, Senior Brother Mo, Senior Sister Zhilan, go to the Supreme Elder's side first. All right, Junior Brother Mo, be careful. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Qing and He Zhilan nodded their heads in response. They then said some words of concern to Mo Qingyun. After Mo Qing and He Zhilan instructed Mo Qingyun, they stood up and walked towards Feng Huaid and the others. They clearly knew that in the current situation, if the two of them were to stay, they would only become burdens and burdens. With regards to Mo Qing and He Zhilan's departure, Zhu Jinlan and the others did not bother about them. Their expressions were cold as they looked at Mo Qingyun and said, Mo Qingyun, prepare to die. After Zhu Jinlan and the others' words fell, they no longer hesitated and started to attack Mo Qingyun. Stop! However, just as Zhu Jinlan and the others were about to attack, elderly Fan of the Sky Demon Talisman sect was displeased. He scolded the few of them. Now that the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering has ended, it is time for the ranking. You are not allowed to attack others. As soon as Li Fan spoke, he released his own aura and pressed it toward Zhu Jinlan and the others. Feeling the pressure from Li Fan's aura, Zhu Jinlan and the others' faces immediately twitched. They looked at Li Fan in awe and said respectfully, Yes, Elder. Li Fan did not pay any attention to Zhu Jinlan and the others' reactions. He smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun and said, Initial 6 seal. In 3 months, your cultivation has increased by an entire realm. Little guy, you're pretty good. Thank you for your help, Elder. When Mo Qingyun heard this, he smiled faintly at Li Fan and replied respectfully. Mo Qingyun was very grateful for Li Fan's help. He immediately understood Li Fan's intention. In the eyes of ordinary people, Li Fan was upholding the rules of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering by stopping Zhu Jinlan and the others from attacking. However, in the eyes of those who were observant, they could guess Li Fan's intention. He was indirectly warning the elders of the 4 unique sects not to attack Mo Qingyun easily. Don't be so polite. Li Fan smiled faintly and waved his hand in response to Mo Qingyun's gratitude. He said, Little guy, I am Li Fan, an elder of the Sky Demon Talisman sect. If you join the Sky Demon Talisman sect, the Sky Demon Talisman sect will help you settle the trouble you caused in the Myriad World Valley. When Mo Qingyun heard Li Fan's words, his expression changed slightly. He cupped his hands and said, Elder, I will remember your words. I will consider it carefully later. Mo Qingyun was very tempted by Li Fan's promise. If that was the case, he would not have to worry about the 4 unique sects taking revenge on the Mao Fu sect after he left the Immortal Road. All right. When Li Fan heard Mo Qingyun's words, he did not say anything else and nodded at Mo Qingyun. He knew that the award ceremony of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering had not ended, and it was not the right time to recruit Mo Qingyun on a large scale. When Mo Qingyun and Li Fan were talking, Mo Cheng walked forward with a solemn expression and said in a deep voice, Since the assessment of the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering has ended, it is time for the award ceremony. When they heard Mo Cheng's words, the area outside the Myriad World Valley immediately quietened down. Everyone turned to look at Mo Cheng. When he saw that everyone was looking at him, Mo Cheng pointed to the high platform at the side and said to the top 1,000 disciples, Those who are in the top 1,000, please head to the high platform. I will award you with your ranking later. When they heard Mo Cheng's words, Mo Qingyun and the rest no longer hesitated and walked towards the high platform. When they saw the top 1,000 disciples walking towards the high platform that Mo Cheng pointed to, those disciples who were not in the top 1,000 were envious. Chapter 681. At this moment, As the disciples walked towards the high platform, Emo, Chung, and the rest each took out a magical treasure. Once these magical treasures were taken out, they transformed into a glowing door and stood in front of the high platform. As these 10 magical treasure doors were formed, 10 completely different and powerful auras were emitted from within. Upon seeing the formation of these 10 magical treasure doors, Emo Chung no longer hesitated as he pointed at the 10 magical treasure doors and said to the crowd, "These are the sealed doors of our 10 great sections. As long as you walk through them, you will be bestowed with your sex destiny symbol." After introducing the functions of the sealed doors to the crowd, Emo Cheng's expression turned serious as he said to the crowd, "Now, the disciples ranked from the top 1,000 to the top 101st walk to the front." Yes. Upon hearing Emo Cheng's words, the disciples did not dare to have the slightest hesitation as they walked forward one after another and neatly lined up in rows. Emo Chung nodded his head in satisfaction when he saw that these disciples had lined up properly. Then, he continued, "Next, all of you will walk to each gate of bestowment according to the sect you have chosen to join. At that time, the gate of bestowment will help you condense your destiny symbol." As Emo Cheng's words sounded out, the disciples no longer hesitated as they walked to the various sealed doors in succession. As the disciples walked to the sealed doors, Emo Qingyun saw their spiritual strength being forcefully condensed into destiny symbols. At this moment, when the disciples were condensing their destiny symbols, Emo Qingyun's face suddenly revealed a shocked expression as he furrowed his eyebrows and secretly exclaimed, "Someone seems to have done something to the destiny symbols condensed by these disciples. It seems like a spiritual brand has been added." Upon this discovery, Emo Qingyun's expression changed drastically as shock rose in his heart. He was very clear about the function of a spiritual brand. He had left a spiritual brand in other people's souls and made many people submit to him. In other words, once these disciples had their destiny symbols condensed, their lives would no longer be under his control. Upon this discovery, Emo Qingyun's heart could not help but tremble as he secretly muttered to himself, "The 10 great 9-seal sects are indeed capable. This way, they do not have to worry that the disciples they have recruited will one day betray them." After secretly sighing in his heart, Emo Qingyun's heart sank as he quickly thought of a solution. He did not want to hand his life over to the 10 great 9-seal sects and become someone else's pawn. "Young lord, this old servant has awakened." Just as Emo Qingyun's heart, a pleasantly surprised voice was transmitted into his mind. The 9 temples had awakened. Upon hearing these words, a great Emo Qingyun's name, Emo Cheng's heart, and a radiant smile, Emo Qingyun, Emo Qingyun. Now, Qingyun, Emo Qingyun, the 9 seal sects, and Emo Qingyun. Qingyun of the 9 seal sects, little guy, this old man has awakened as well. From now on, this old man can fight on your behalf. Before Emo Qingyun could recover from his surprise, another joyful voice was transmitted into his mind. Senior He Xian had awakened as well. Upon hearing these words, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, and the joy in his heart grew even stronger. After a short moment of surprise, Emo Qingyun transmitted his voice to the 9 temples, and He Xian, 9 temples, Senior He Xian, how has your strength improved this time? Young lord, with the help of the 5 masters, this old servant's cultivation has reached the early stage of the manifestation realm. My strength is slightly higher than that of the 9 temples, and I've recovered to the 5th level of the divine tier. I can fight against advanced divine tier cultivators. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the 9 temples and He Xian both smiled faintly and replied to Emo Qingyun. It seemed that the two of them were very satisfied with the increase in their strength. Early stage of the manifestation realm, 5th level of the divine tier. Hearing their words, Emo Qingyun's face immediately lit up with joy, and his tense heart relaxed a little. This way, even if the people present wanted to deal with him, he wouldn't be completely defenseless. This is the seal sex? Just as Mo Qingyun relaxed, He Xian and the Nine Temples both exclaimed in surprise. Senior Nine Temples, Senior He Xian, you know about the seal sex? Hearing the Nine Temples and He Xian's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly asked them, seal sex? This so-called seal door is nothing more than a cover-up. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, He Xian's expression froze for a moment. Then he said in a heavy tone, little guy, this seal sex is a method to enslave death warriors. You must not be branded, or you will be reduced to a killing tool for others for the rest of your life. As I thought, hearing He Xian's words, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned serious, and he asked He Xian, Senior He Xian, do you have a way to dissolve this seal? If I was at the peak of my cultivation, it would naturally not be difficult to dissolve such a low-level seal, but now, at the end, He Xian fell silent. It seems that he was not strong enough to dissolve this seal. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun's expression turned even more serious, and he said to He Xian, Senior He Xian, if anything happens later, I may have to merge with you. Next, Mo Qingyun briefly explained his thoughts to Mo Qingyun and He Xian. All right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, He Xian agreed without hesitation and decided to cooperate with Mo Qingyun. As such, the time that followed passed, as these disciples were imprinted with the imprints. Several hours later, all the disciples ranked from the top 1,000 to the top 101st had been branded. Seeing this, Mo Chung and the rest formed a hand seal and kept the sealed doors on the high platform. Next, Mo Chung and the rest took out another sealed door. The aura of these sealed doors was clearly stronger than the previous one. After taking out these sealed doors, Mo Cheng's expression turned solemn, and he said to the crowd in a deep voice, these are the sealed doors for the inner court disciples. Now the top 100 to the top 11 disciples, according to the sect you have chosen, walk to the bottom of these sealed doors. Hearing this, the top 100 to the top 11 disciples walked forward one after another and walked to the sealed doors of their respective sections. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, Mo Qing, and He Zhilan also followed the crowd and walked forward. Senior Mo, Senior Zhilan. Seeing the actions of the Mo duo, Mo Qingyun's eyebrows immediately furrowed, and his expression turned solemn. If this was the case, wouldn't Mo Qing and He Zhilan also have their soul seals left? After realizing this, Mo Qingyun's fists immediately clenched tightly, and anger rose in his heart. Little brat, don't be rash. The current you is still unable to change the situation. Sensing the change in Mo Qingyun's state of mind, He Xian's words were transmitted into his mind and gave him a reminder. Chapter 682. As time passed, about 15 minutes later, it was finally Mo Qing and He Zhilan's turn. After a slight hesitation, Mo Qing chose to join Yuan Fu sect, while He Zhilan chose Dao Fu sect. Following which, the two of them walked to Yuan Fu sect and Dao Fu sect's gate of bestowing seals, and allowed the gate of bestowing seals to condense their destiny seals. After Mo Qingyun and He Zhilan condensed their destiny seals, Mo Qingyun could clearly feel that the two of them were somewhat unfamiliar. After realizing this, Mo Qingyun's heart immediately tightened, as though he had lost a very precious thing. About an hour later, the seals for the top 100 to the top 11 were finally completed. Since the rewards for the top 1,000 to the top 11 have been given out, it is time to give out the rewards for the top 10. Seeing that the seals for the top 100 to the top 10 had been given out, Mo Chung revealed a faint smile and looked towards Mo Qingyun and the rest. He said, the 10 of you come to the front. I will give you your rewards later. Yes. When Mo Qingyun and the rest heard this, they nodded their heads in response and walked forward one after another. When he saw Mo Qingyun and the rest walk forward, Mo Cheng's figure appeared on the high platform. After walking to the high platform, Mo Chung walked towards the 10th-ranked person and handed him a chinquin bag. He said, there are 100 million origin spirit stones inside, It is the reward for the 10th rank person at the 10,000 Talisman Immortal meeting. Take it. Thank you, Elder. After receiving the Chinquin bag from Imo Chung, the person immediately revealed a joyous expression and thanked Imo Chung with cupped fists. Yes. When he saw this, Imo Ching's expression was indifferent as he nodded his head. He turned his head to look at the 9th ranked person and handed him a Chinquin bag. Next, Imo Chung handed the Chinquin bags one by one to Invincible Blade and the rest. After a while, Imo Chung arrived in front of Imo Chingyun. Little fellow, your performance has really surprised me. Looking at Imo Chingyun, Imo Chung praised him and took out a Chinquin bag and handed it to Imo Chingyun. He smiled and said, the reward for the first place is an ancient world crossing stone and 1 billion origin spirit stones. Keep it well. Thank you, Elder. After receiving the Chinquin bag from Imo Chingyun's hands, Imo Chingyun nodded his head with an indifferent expression before cupping his hands and thanking Imo Chung. Seeing the actions of the 10 great sects, Imo Chingyun no longer had a good impression of them. Of course, although Imo Chingyun appeared cold, he was extremely excited at the moment. After so many days of hard work, he had finally obtained the ancient planet-crossing stone. Now, he could return to the Tianhan continent. After putting away the Chinquin bag, Imo Chingyun sent it to the Heixian Hall and transmitted his voice to the 9 temples. 9th temples is the stone in the Chinquin bag, the ancient world crossing stone you mentioned. This stone would determine whether or not Imo Chingyun would be able to return to the Tianhan continent. Just in case, he immediately checked with the 9 temples. Replying to the young lord, this is the ancient planet-crossing stone. Hearing Imo Chingyun's words, the 9 temples replied to Imo Chingyun with a solemn tone. Hearing the 9 temples reply, Imo Chingyun's heart, which had been hanging in the air, finally calmed down. In that case, everything was ready. All that was left was to wait for the 9 temples to set up the array. While Imo Chingyun was feeling excited, Imo Chung and the rest once again formed hand seals and took away the inner disciples' sealed doors. After that, Imo Chung formed another seal with his hands and unleashed the imprint bestowing gate with an even stronger aura. After Imo Chung and the rest took out their sealed doors, a faint smile appeared on Imo Cheng's face as he said to Imo Chingyun and the rest, these 10 sealed doors are the sealed doors for the direct disciples of our 10 great sections. The 10 of you can choose now. Hearing Imo Cheng's words, Zhu Jinlan and the rest no longer hesitated and chose the sect they wanted to join. However, what surprised Imo Chingyun was that the Invincible Blade stood still and did not seem to choose a sect to join. Seeing the Invincible Blade's actions, Imo Chingyun's expression was slightly shocked as he thought to himself, could it be that the Invincible Blade has also discovered that these sealed doors are not ordinary? Little guy, the kid beside you is not simple. You have to be careful of him. At that moment, while Imo Chingyun was still in shock, He Xian sent a message to him with a heavy tone. Oh! Hearing He Xian's message, Imo Chingyun immediately revealed a surprised expression. He was extremely surprised by He Xian's message. He really did not expect that He Xian would give the Invincible Blade such a high evaluation. From the looks of it, the Invincible Blade was indeed not simple. When the crowd saw that the Invincible Blade and Imo Chingyun did not move and chose the sect they wanted to join, they were immediately puzzled and confused. What were the Invincible Blade and Imo Chingyun doing? Could it be that the two of them did not intend to join the Nine Seals sect? At that moment, the crowd could not help but have such a thought. Imo Chingyun, Invincible Blade, why aren't the two of you choosing? Seeing the actions of Imo Chingyun and Invincible Blade, Imo Chung revealed a puzzled expression as he asked Imo Chingyun and Invincible Blade. Imo Chung and the rest could understand that Imo Chingyun was in a difficult position and could not make a decision in such a short period of time. Zhu Wuing immediately frowned when he saw the look in Invincible Blade's eyes. His expression became solemn as he said, "All right, you can make the decision. Regardless of the outcome, the Blade Talisman sect will always be your backing." "Thank you, Elder Wuing." Invincible Blade looked grateful when he heard Zhu Wuing's words. He quickly cupped his hands and bowed to Zhu Wuing. "Elder Wuing, what if—" Zhu Chong immediately looked nervous when he heard Zhu Wuing's words. He wanted to persuade Zhu Wuing. However, before he could say anything, Zhu Wuing raised his hand and interrupted him. He said to the elders of the Blade Talisman sect, "Elders, you don't have to say anything. Invincible Blade is not an impulsive person. I believe that he has his own plans." Hearing Zhu Wuing's words, Zhu Chong and the others fell silent and did not say anything else. "Mo Qingyun, I accept your conditions." Seeing that Zhu Wuing had agreed to his request, Invincible Blade smiled faintly. He turned to look at Mo Qingyun and said, "However, if you want me to follow you, you'll have to show me the strength to convince me. If that's the case, I'll fight you with all my strength. You don't have to worry about anything. Just give it your all." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly when he heard Invincible Blade's words. He had a serious look on his face. Mo Qingyun's words were telling Invincible Blade to give it his all. He did not have to worry about not being able to handle it. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he moved and flew toward the high platform where they had fought previously. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had returned to the high platform, Zhu Jinlan and the others on the high platform immediately looked gloomy. Mo Qingyun did not pay attention to Zhu Jinlan and the others on the high platform. He turned to look at Li Fan and said, "Elder Li Fan, when I fight with Invincible Blade later, please help me maintain the situation. Don't let anyone interfere with us." Now that Mo Qingyun had consecutively killed the genius disciples of the four unique sects, he could not guarantee that the four unique sects would not take the risk and attack him when he was fighting later. Therefore, it was better for him to be careful. After all, it was better to be safe than sorry. "Don't worry and fight. With me here, no one can interfere." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Li Fan nodded in response. He then glanced around and said coldly, "If anyone dares to interfere later, I don't mind going to their sect to reduce the pressure on their population." Hearing Li Fan's words, everyone's expressions twitched and a strong sense of fear flashed in their eyes. The people of the Sky Demon Talisman sect had always been ferocious. Since Li Fan had said so, he would definitely do so. Seeing that everything was explained, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He looked at Invincible Blade with a serious face and said, "Invincible Blade, don't hold back later. Otherwise, you won't be my opponent." In Mo Qingyun's opinion, since He Xian had such a high opinion of Invincible Blade, he would definitely not be as simple as he looked. "Mo Qingyun, you are indeed an extraordinary person. Your observation is actually so meticulous." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Invincible Blade was immediately shocked. He was very surprised by Mo Qingyun's words at this moment. After saying those words of surprise, Invincible Blade did not say anything more and immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. Fighting intent surged. Following Invincible Blade's shout, a golden light burst out from his body and emitted a shocking aura. As soon as this golden light appeared, it turned into a faint golden saber shadow and floated behind Invincible Blade. This is the heaven-breaking fighting intent technique. This kid actually knows the heaven-breaking fighting intent technique. Could it be that he has some connection with the heaven-breaking warrior? Seeing Invincible Blade's attack, He Xian and the Nine Temples were both agitated and shocked. Heaven-breaking warrior? Hearing the words of the Nine Temples and He Xian, Mo Qingyun's expression was immediately shocked. He did not expect Invincible Blade to have such a background. "Kid, you have to be careful of Invincible Blade's fighting intent technique. Once the golden saber shadow behind him solidifies, he will be able to use the fighting intent technique." At this moment, He Xian reminded Mo Qingyun in a solemn tone. Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. "All right." Hearing this, Mo Qingyun nodded and looked at Invincible Blade with a faint smile. He said in a low voice, "In that case, let me have a taste of your heaven-breaking fighting intent technique." You actually know about the heaven-breaking fighting intent technique. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Invincible Blade's expression immediately changed. His face was filled with intense shock. He smiled faintly and said, "It seems like you are indeed very ordinary." Chapter 684. Scarlet Heavenly Dragon, Appear. Seeing that Invincible Blade took out his natal talisman, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately summoned the Scarlet Heavenly Dragon. Once the Scarlet Heavenly Dragon was summoned, it emitted a shocking dragon aura and floated above Mo Qingyun. Blood Chi Berserk. Soul Change. Once the Scarlet Heavenly Dragon was summoned, Mo Qingyun used his martial soul ability to increase his cultivation and entered the half-soul change state. After entering the half-soul change state, Mo Qingyun's body was immediately covered with a layer of red dragon scales and transformed into a dragon blood war god. At the same time, the aura on Mo Qingyun's body rose rapidly and reached the peak of the Dan Palace realm. At this moment, the 9 Dan palaces in Mo Qingyun's Dantian were activated by him without any reservation and exploded with surging origin energy. Mo Qingyun had a feeling in his heart that if they were to compare the amount of origin energy, he would not be weaker than a peak Heaven Dipper realm expert. Seeing the performance of Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade, the surrounding people were shocked. They were shocked by the performance of Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade. Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade are so strong. Just their aura alone is enough to make my heart tremble. I am at the intermediate 7th seal realm. They are the real geniuses. With their talent and strength, the first and second of the myriad talisman immortal gathering are worthy of their name. I wonder who will be stronger in the battle later between Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to it and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. While everyone was shocked, Invincible Blade's natal talisman turned into a ray of light and attacked Mo Qingyun at an extremely fast speed. Seeing Invincible Blade's natal talisman coming, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate. With a flick of his wrist, he held the Scorching Halberd in his hand. Scorching Sky Halberd. After taking out the Scorching Halberd, Mo Qingyun took a step forward and turned into an afterimage, slashing at Invincible Blade's natal talisman. Clang! Then, a crisp sound was heard from the sky. Subsequently, the crowd saw that Mo Qingyun's Scorching Halberd had just blocked the Invincible Blade's natal talisman, and they were caught in a stalemate. At the same time, a terrifying storm of strength came from the life talismans of the Scorching Flame Halberd and the Invincible Blade. Along with the explosion of the storm, the zombies of the Scorching Flame Halberd and the Invincible Blade natal talisman were also destroyed. Following which, Mo Qingyun's body continuously retreated, avoiding the engulfing force storm. When Mo Qingyun was dodging the force storm, the life talisman of the Invincible Blade was also blasted away and returned to the side of the Invincible Blade. After taking a few steps back and stabilizing himself, Mo Qingyun's body once again turned into a stream of light and approached the Invincible Blade at an extremely fast speed. After many battles with Talisman Masters, Mo Qingyun knew their weakness, which was that they were not good at close combat. Good timing. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was approaching him, the Invincible Blade's fighting spirit immediately became stronger. Subsequently, the golden saber shadow behind the Invincible Blade also became more solid, and its aura became more shocking. Clang! At this moment, after the Invincible Blade cheered, he did not hesitate to pull out the long saber on his back. Seeing that the Invincible Blade had pulled out the long saber, the expressions of the surrounding people who were familiar with the Invincible Blade immediately changed. The Invincible Blade has pulled out the saber? Mo Qingyun is so strong. He actually forced the Invincible Blade to pull out the saber so quickly. It is said that if the Invincible Blade fights with the saber, his combat power will increase by 30%. I wonder if Mo Qingyun can handle it. I'm really looking forward to it. The Invincible Blade and Mo Qingyun are so strong. They can really be said to be the peerless duo of this year's Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering. Seeing that the Invincible Blade had pulled out the saber on his back, the surrounding people's expressions changed again, revealing a strong sense of anticipation. This Mo Qingyun is indeed a dragon among men. He actually forced the Invincible Blade to pull out the saber so quickly. Seeing the Invincible Blade's action, Zhu Wuying's expression immediately froze, and he could not help but exclaim, "Good, very good." Seeing that Mo Qingyun and the Invincible Blade were exchanging blows, Li Fan immediately revealed a look of surprise and said excitedly, "This Invincible Blade's talent is also very good. If he can join our Sky Demon Talisman sect, then our Sky Demon Talisman sect will have a grand slam this time." Clang! As the Invincible Blade pulled out the long saber on his back, the aura on his body immediately became sharper, as if it had become one with the saber in his hand. Saber Essence. Sensing the change in the aura on the Invincible Blade, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of surprise. He said, "I didn't expect the Invincible Blade to have comprehended some Saber Essence. It's a pity that he did not comprehend the Saber Force. Otherwise, his strength would definitely increase by more than a few times." Seeing that, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated, revealing a faint smile, and said, "In this case, I won't hold back anymore." Saber Force. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at the Invincible Blade. He then released the Saber Force, increasing the aura on his body. Following that, Mo Qingyun gave off a feeling of being integrated with the heavens and earth, as if he was now a saber that could break through the heavens. This is Saber Force. Sensing the aura on Mo Qingyun's body, the Invincible Blade's expression immediately changed, revealing a look of shock. He did not expect that Mo Qingyun had actually comprehended Saber Force, and it was not the kind of beginner's insight. However, after a short moment of shock, the Invincible Blade's gaze became confused, as if he had comprehended something, or as if he had fallen into a state of confusion. The Invincible Blade can actually comprehend something under my Saber Force. Seeing the Invincible Blade's performance, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly stunned, and he did not continue to attack the Invincible Blade. Mo Qingyun knew very well that the Invincible Blade was at the critical moment of breaking through the bottleneck, and he could not be disturbed in the slightest. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he said in a deep voice, "Previously, you helped me a few times, so this time, I'll help you too. However, whether you can break through or not depends on yourself." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he increased the strength of the Saber Force, continuing to suppress the Invincible Blade's body, helping the Invincible Blade to comprehend the power of the Saber Force. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, everyone was immediately shocked, and they could not believe what they were seeing. Mo Qingyun was actually helping the Invincible Blade to comprehend the Saber Force, and not taking advantage of the situation to attack the Invincible Blade. It had to be said that Mo Qingyun's actions at the moment made people unable to help but be convinced by him. Mo Qingyun, he's helping the Invincible Blade to comprehend the Saber Force. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions at the moment, Zhu Wuying and the rest were shocked, and they could not believe that it was true. At this moment, they vaguely understood why the Invincible Blade had agreed to Mo Qingyun's request. Looking at Mo Qingyun's actions at the moment, it seemed that the Invincible Blade's decision to follow Mo Qingyun was not a wrong choice. Subsequently, in the hearts of Zhu Wuying and the rest, their impression of Mo Qingyun immediately changed. With regards to Mo Qingyun's actions at the moment, they were convinced, and they could not help but admit that Mo Qingyun was open and aboveboard. After pondering for a short while, Zhu Wuying's face was filled with admiration, and he could not help but exclaim, "Mo Qingyun, you're the only person that I, Zhu Wuying, have been convinced by for hundreds of years." The Invincible Blade did not choose the wrong person. At this moment, when everyone was shocked, the aura on the invincible blade's body suddenly rose, and it instantly became sharper. Chapter 685. Thank you. With the help of Mo Qingyun, Invincible Blade had successfully comprehended the blade force. He was delighted and quickly thanked Mo Qingyun. You're welcome. Mo Qingyun smiled and waved his hand at Invincible Blade's gratitude. He said, since you've already comprehended the blade force, let's continue the battle. All right. Invincible Blade nodded when he heard this. He held the long saber in his hand and walked quickly toward Mo Qingyun. At this moment, the aura that Invincible Blade exuded was obviously stronger and sharper than before. It seemed that the comprehension of the blade force had made him even more powerful. In addition, Invincible Blade's body was filled with a bloody mist that revealed a shocking murderous intent. This was the power of his massacre bloodline. As the power of the massacre bloodline was activated by Invincible Blade, his eyes immediately turned red and revealed a demonic intent. Massacre bloodline. Looking at Invincible Blade's current performance, Mo Qingyun immediately frowned, and his expression became more serious. Then, Mo Qingyun no longer held back and activated the Heavenly Soul demon bloodline in his body. As Mo Qingyun activated the bloodline of the Heavenly Soul demon clan, his eyes immediately shone brightly. A beautiful purple light flashed through them. Not only that, but there were also 9 charming stars flashing between Mo Qingyun's eyebrows. At this moment, Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade gave off a demonic feeling that made people unconsciously revere them. Looking at the performance of Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade, the surrounding people were shocked and revealed a shocked expression. Mo Qingyun and Invincible Blade have both activated the power of the bloodline. Both of them have terrifying talents. Did you guys notice that after Mo Qingyun activated the power of the bloodline, the blood chi outside Invincible Blade's body seemed to have become thinner? If that's the case, wouldn't the Invincible Blade's bloodline be suppressed by Mo Qingyun's bloodline? In other words, Mo Qingyun's bloodline is stronger? That should be the case. After all, Mo Qingyun's talent value has reached 1,000, which is several times higher than Invincible Blade's. Sensing the strength of Mo Qingyun's bloodline, everyone was shocked and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. As Mo Qingyun activated the bloodline of the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan, Invincible Blade was shocked and said, "What a powerful bloodline. Could it be that Mo Qingyun's bloodline is not a fake Heavenly Soul Demon Clan bloodline?" At this moment, the Invincible Blade was really shocked by this discovery. His face was full of shock, and he said to himself, "In this case, no matter what the result of this battle is, I can have no regrets." After the Invincible Blade sighed in his heart, he no longer hesitated and slashed at Mo Qingyun with his long saber. What a profound artistic conception. Sensing the power of the Invincible Blade's slash, Mo Qingyun was shocked, and a sense of astonishment rose in his heart. At this moment, the Invincible Blade's slash did not reveal the slightest fluctuation of power. It was just a very ordinary and casual slash. However, even so, this slash of the Invincible Blade brought a strong sense of threat to Mo Qingyun. This was because this slash of the Invincible Blade contained a very profound artistic conception, which gave Mo Qingyun a feeling that he could not resist. After a short moment of shock, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hesitate. He immediately shook the scorching halberd in his hand and stabbed at the Invincible Blade's long saber. Seeing that the scorching halberd was stabbing at his long saber, the Invincible Blade immediately shook his wrist and turned the slash into a sweep, sweeping directly at Mo Qingyun's chest. Seeing that the Invincible Blade's long saber was sweeping towards his chest, Mo Qingyun immediately held the scorching halberd in the middle and rotated it in front of him, forming a shocking halberd shadow fire wheel. Clang! At the same time, The long saber in the invincible blade's hand was forcefully blocked by Mo Qingyun's long halberd. Although the attack failed, the invincible blade did not stop at all. He slashed at Mo Qingyun again. This time, the invincible blade's attack was a bit sharper than before. This slash contained a variety of powers. At this moment, after the invincible blade slashed, the long saber in his hand immediately erupted with 2 rays of saber light, 1 red and 1 gold. 1 slash, 2 rays of saber light. With 1 slash, 2 rays of saber light were slashed out at the same time. Mo Qingyun had never seen such a technique before. What made Mo Qingyun even more shocked was that the 2 rays of saber light slashed out by the invincible blade were not the shadow of the saber light that confused the mind of others. Little guy, this is the heaven-breaking fighting will double blade of fighting will. After the slash, it will form 2 rays of saber light, 1 virtual and 1 real. However, both of them have real lethality. Seeing the invincible blade's attack, Xian reminded Mo Qingyun in a heavy tone in his mind. In addition, you have to be extra careful of the golden saber light. If you are hit by it, it will devour your fighting will, causing you to lose your fighting will and admit defeat in the end. Devouring fighting will. Hearing Xian's explanation, Mo Qingyun was immediately shocked. He was shocked by the power of the heaven-breaking fighting will. After a short moment of silence, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate anymore. He immediately waved the scorching halberd to block the 2 rays of saber light. Shaoza, heavenly spirit finger. When Mo Qingyun blocked the 2 rays of saber light, he did not just take the hit. He raised his left hand and pointed at the invincible blade. Under Mo Qingyun's finger, the wind and clouds immediately gathered in midair, forming a huge black vortex. From within, a huge black finger burst out. As soon as the huge black finger appeared, it exploded with a terrifying aura, crushing the invincible blade below. Bang, bang, bang. Under the pressure of Shaoza's heavenly spirit finger, there were immediately roaring sounds below. Some of the plants did not dare to bear the pressure and directly exploded. This is the legacy martial arts. Looking at the huge black finger with an astonishing aura, the invincible blade's expression was immediately shocked. A storm was set off in his heart. Mo Qingyun actually knew about the legacy martial arts. This was really beyond his expectations. Blow of fighting will. Subsequently, the invincible blade did not dare to hesitate. He immediately waved the long saber in his hand and slashed at the huge black finger. As the invincible blade slashed down, the golden saber shadow on his back instantly grew bigger, turning into a ray of saber light that was dozens of meters long. Bang! As soon as the golden saber light slashed down, it was like a volcanic eruption, forming a storm of force that rushed to the sky. Subsequently, the storm of force of the golden saber shadow collided with the huge black finger in the sky, forming an even more terrifying storm of force. Bang, bang, bang. Under the impact of the storm of force, the ground suddenly shook and the mountains shook, causing sand and stones to burst open. At this moment, when the storm was raging, Mo Qingyun pointed at the invincible blade again. Under Mo Qingyun's finger, an obscure fluctuation of aura immediately burst out from his ring finger. Oh no! Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the invincible blade's expression was immediately shocked, and a strong sense of uneasiness rose in his heart. However, before he could make a move to block the attack, he felt a terrifying force smashing into his body. Bang! Subsequently, everyone saw the invincible blade's body being blasted away by a terrifying force. Poof! After being hit by the inaction heaven-concealing finger, the invincible blade's face immediately turned pale. He spat out blood from his mouth, and his body half knelt in front of Mo Qingyun. The invincible blade was defeated. After seeing this scene, everyone's expression was shocked, and their faces were filled with astonishment. Even a powerful existence like the invincible blade was still defeated by Mo Qingyun in the battle with Mo Qingyun. Chapter 686. The Bloodline of the Heavenly Soul Demon Tribe and the Powerful Legacy Martial Skill. I, Invincible Blade, am not defeated in vain. After calming himself down, Invincible Blade smiled faintly. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said, I will keep my promise and follow you for 10 years from today onwards. From a battle just now, Mo Qingyun had defeated Invincible Blade in terms of talent, strength, and breadth of mind. Invincible Blade knew clearly that if it was an ordinary person, he would have taken the opportunity to sneak an attack on him when he was comprehending the saber force. On the other hand, what about Mo Qingyun? Not only did Mo Qingyun not attack him, on the contrary, Mo Qingyun even released his own saber force to help him comprehend the saber force concept. Invincible Blade admitted that he could not have such breadth of mind. Good, very good. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had defeated Invincible Blade, Li Fan was pleasantly surprised. He could not help but praise Mo Qingyun. This little guy has brought me so many surprises. In this way, he deserves to be the champion of the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. If not for Mo Qingyun's appearance, Invincible Blade would definitely be the champion of this year's 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Now, both of them have joined our Sky Demon Talisman sect. This is really the rise of our Sky Demon Talisman sect. As long as both of them are given enough time, they will definitely lead our Sky Demon Talisman sect to the peak in the future. At this moment, all the elders of the Sky Demon Talisman sect were delighted. They could not help but exclaim in anticipation. With Mo Qingyun's talent and breadth of mind, he is qualified for Invincible Blade to follow him. Seeing the outcome, Zhu Wuing could not help but sigh. His eyes were filled with gratification. It was as if he was feeling sorry for Invincible Blade for being able to find such a wise master. Qingyun 1. Does this mean that Invincible Blade will really recognize Qingyun as his master? Feng Huai and the rest were excited at the thought of Invincible Blade recognizing Mo Qingyun as his master. Their hearts could not help but beat faster. Invincible Saber was originally the champion of this year's 10,000 Talismans Immortal Gathering, the #1 genius of the 5 Absolute sect. But now, he had acknowledged Mo Qingyun as his master. This news was too shocking for them. It was something they had never thought of before. Damn brat, he actually defeated the Invincible Blade. If that's the case, Zhu Jinlan and the others might not be his match. If that's the case, I'm afraid it'll be troublesome for us to deal with this kid. No, I can't let this kid continue to grow. Otherwise, he'll be a huge disaster in the future. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had defeated the Invincible Blade, Xiao Wan and the rest had a gloomy expression. They looked at Mo Qingyun with cold eyes. At this moment, while everyone was shocked by this result, Mo Qingyun looked at Li Fan with a faint smile. Elder Li Fan, the Invincible Blade is now my right-hand man. I wonder if he can join the Sky Demon Talisman sect? Mo Qingyun asked Li Fan with a faint smile. With the Invincible Blade's talent, he's willing to join the Sky Demon Talisman sect. We'll naturally welcome him. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Li Fan immediately smiled bitterly and replied to Mo Qingyun. With the Invincible Blade's talent, if he wanted to join a sect, which sect would reject him? He was a true supreme talent. This kind of good thing was something that could not be touched, so how could Li Fan open his mouth to refuse? Thank you, Elder Li Fan. Hearing Li Fan's words, Mo Qingyun cupped his hands in gratitude and said, now that the Invincible Blade has joined the Sky Demon Talisman sect as my servant, he shouldn't need to condense a natal rune, right? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Li Fan's expression was slightly stunned, and he looked a little embarrassed. However, after a short moment of silence, Li Fan smiled and said to Mo Qingyun, of course. Since the Invincible Blade is your servant, you can decide everything about him. Thank you, Elder Li Fan. Hearing Li Fan's words, Mo Qingyun looked grateful again and said to Li Fan solemnly, Qingyun will remember Elder Li Fan's kindness today. Good. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Li Fan nodded with relief and was very satisfied with Mo Qingyun's performance. It could be seen that Mo Qingyun was not the kind of person who would forget righteousness at the sight of profit and burn the bridge after crossing the river. Instead, he was a person who knew how to repay kindness. Mo Qingyun, thank you. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions at this moment, the invincible blade also looked solemn and thanked Mo Qingyun. He naturally understood Mo Qingyun's intention in doing so. At this moment, he admired Mo Qingyun even more in his heart and faintly felt lucky for himself. To have such a wise master in life, his life was not in vain. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and the rest were talking, the elders of the four unique sects and the tyrannical talisman sect all looked pleadingly at Mo Cheng and the rest. Esteemed lords of the upper factions, we have a matter that we hope you can uphold justice for us. Esteemed lords of the upper factions, Mo Qingyun is cruel and ruthless. He killed the talented juniors of our sect. Please uphold justice for us. That's right, Mo Qingyun is cruel and bloodthirsty. If he is allowed to grow, he will definitely be a disaster for our immortal path in the future. In an instant, the elders of the four unique sects and the tyrannical talisman sect all looked pleading. Shut up. When he heard the actions of the elders of the four unique sects and the tyrannical talisman sect, Li Fan's face immediately darkened as he chided them. He continued, the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering is a life and death experience. The juniors of your sect died at the hands of Qingyun in the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. This can only be blamed on their lack of skills. How can you blame Qingyun? Li Fan's face was filled with displeasure as he continued. If that's the case, the disciples of the 6 Seal and 7 Seal sects who died at the hands of your sect's disciples, shouldn't they also complain about it? Elderly Fan, your words are too serious. Mo Qingyun has killed too many people in the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Indeed, he needs to give everyone an explanation. At this moment, when Li Fan's words fell, Mo Cheng's expression changed slightly as he spoke in an unconcerned manner. He continued, furthermore, how can the talented juniors of the four unique sects be compared to some ordinary disciples? That's right. Although killing is not prohibited in the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering, it is indeed not good to have too much killing intent. After hearing Mo Cheng's words, a cold smile appeared on Jin Wan's face as she added. Subsequently, the elders of the other 9 Seal sects also expressed their displeasure towards Mo Qingyun. When they saw the actions of Mo Cheng and the rest, the people from the other sects could not help but sigh in their hearts. These elders of the 9 Seal sects were truly ruthless. The moment they saw that Mo Qingyun did not join their sects, they wanted to kill Mo Qingyun. Humph. If you want to explain, you can, but you have to ask my fist first. When he heard the words of Mo Cheng and the rest, Li Fan's face was filled with anger as he replied to them. Looking at Li Fan's stance, it seemed like he was about to attack them if they did not agree. Elderly Fan, there is no need to be angry. Let's see what they have up their sleeves. Chapter 687. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jin Kai and the rest of the people immediately smiled sinisterly, as if they had succeeded in their evil scheme. Jin Kai and the rest of the people exchanged glances and looked at Mo Qingyun. Jin Kai smiled sinisterly and said, Mo Qingyun, we will not force you. Next, the 5 sects will each send a disciple to fight with you. As long as you can defeat them, we will forget about you killing the disciples of the 5 sections. Okay, we promise you. Mo Qingyun didn't even think about Jin Kai's request. He agreed without hesitation. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, with the personalities of Jin Kai and the rest of the people, even if he refused, they would continue to find trouble with him. In that case, he might as well agree directly and defeat the disciples of the 5 sects once and for all. Great. In that case, let's not waste any more time. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had agreed to his suggestion, Jin Kai and the rest of the people smiled sinisterly again. They turned to Lu Chao and the rest of the people and said, Lu Chao, Zhu Jinlan, Yuan Ba, Chou Jianfeng, Zhou Jin, the 5 of you go and fight with Mo Qingyun. Yes, Elder Jin Kai. Hearing Jin Kai and the rest of the people, Zhu Jinlan and the rest of the people immediately nodded and agreed. They looked at Mo Qingyun with sinister smiles. Then, the people saw that Zhu Jinlan and the rest of the people flew out at the same time and surrounded Mo Qingyun. The five of them are going to fight with Mo Qingyun together? Seeing that, the people were stunned. They were surprised by the situation in front of them. Wait. Seeing that, Li Fan's face darkened and he said angrily, "Didn't you say that the five sects would each send a disciple to fight with Qingyun? Why are the five of you fighting with Qingyun at the same time?" Jin Kai seemed to have expected that Li Fan would ask such a question. After hearing that, he smiled sinisterly and replied to Li Fan, "Elder Li Fan, is there anything wrong? Isn't it just our five sects sending out one disciple each?" Hearing Jin Kai's sophistry, Li Fan's expression immediately became angry. He understood the meaning of Jin Kai's words and said unhappily, "The five of them against Qin Yun alone. Isn't that a bit too much?" "Elder Li Fan, you're wrong." Hearing Li Fan's words, Cho Wan sneered and quibbled. Just now, everyone saw that Mo Qingyun defeated Invincible Blade. Jian Feng's strength is about the same as Invincible Blade's. In this case, how can we let Jian Feng and the rest fight with Mo Qingyun alone? Elder Li Fan, as an elder of the Nine Seals sect, the Sky Demon Talisman sect, you can't be thinking of going back on your word, right? Yuan Da revealed a sinister smile as he mocked Li Fan. At this moment, after Yuan Da's words sounded, Mo Chung by the side also revealed a cold smile. He smiled towards Li Fan and said, "Elder Li Fan, I feel that Elder Jin Kai's words are correct. You have misunderstood it. You cannot blame them. Elder Li Fan, if you are so biased, we can only stand on the side of the four unique sects." At this moment, Jin Wan glanced at Li Fan and the rest with a sinister smile and expressed his stance. "Thank you, elders, for upholding justice." When they saw the attitude of Mo Chung and the rest, Jin Kai and the rest immediately revealed a joyful expression and hurriedly cupped their hands and thanked them. You all, when he saw the performance of Mo Chung and the rest, Li Fan was instantly furious. He raised his hand and pointed at Mo Chung and the rest, unable to speak. When Mo Chung and the rest saw that they were unable to recruit Mo Qingyun, they wanted to kill Mo Qingyun. They were really sinister. "Elder Li Fan, there's no need to say anything more. I will fight with them." When he saw Li Fan's action, Mo Qingyun was touched. He smiled faintly and indicated to Li Fan that there was no need to worry. After comforting Li Fan, Mo Qingyun looked at Zhu Jinlan and the rest and smiled faintly. "This is good too. I can deal with all of you in one go and save myself the trouble of coming one by one." Qingyun, you really want to fight with them?" When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Li Fan immediately revealed a nervous expression and hurriedly confirmed with Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun actually wanted to fight one against five. This was really too shocking and unexpected. One should know that Zhu Jinlan and the other four were all geniuses of their respective sections. Each of them had the strength to fight someone above their level. They were definitely not comparable to an ordinary quasi-Seven Seal expert. "Yes." In response to Li Fan's question, Mo Qingyun nodded with a solemn expression. He then looked at Jin Kai and the rest and said, "Elders of the four unique sects, I will fight with Zhu Jinlan and the rest later. Do you dare to sign a life and death contract with me?" Wow. When Mo Qingyun's words left his mouth, there was an uproar in the surroundings. Everyone revealed a look of intense shock. Mo Qingyun is so domineering. He actually wants to sign a life and death contract to fight one against five. I am impressed by his courage. I wonder if Zhu Jinlan and the rest dare to accept it. In my opinion, they should accept it without hesitation. If Zhu Jinlan and the others do not dare to accept a battle between five people, it would truly be a disgrace to their family. At this moment, everyone revealed a look of curiosity. They wanted to see Zhu Jinlan and the rest decision. Sign a life and death contract? When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Li Fan's expression immediately froze. He shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "This kid seems to be planning to be ruthless." Li Fan knew clearly that Mo Qingyun's actions at this moment were undoubtedly indicating that he wanted to kill. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, Lu Chao and the rest avoided his gaze and revealed a look of hesitation. From their point of view, if they were to sign a life and death contract with Mo Qingyun, when Mo Qingyun was ruthless in the fight later, he might drag one of them down with him. This wasn't something that they wanted to see. In an instant, Lu Chao and the rest became silent as they hesitated. "Why? You don't dare?" When he saw the actions of Lu Chao and the rest, Mo Qingyun revealed a look of mockery. His gaze revealed a strong sense of disdain as he said, "The supreme talents of the four unique sects, the genius of the crazy talisman sect. You're just so-so." At that moment, anyone who understood what was going on would be able to tell that Mo Qingyun's words contained a strong sense of mockery and disdain. "Mo Qingyun, since you are courting death, I will fulfill your wish." When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Yuan Ba, who was the most hot-tempered among the few of them, immediately revealed an angry expression. "Mo Qingyun, next, I will make you regret your actions." Following Yuan Ba's words, the faces of Zhu Jinlan and the others turned cold as they spoke to Mo Qingyun in a sinister manner. "Elder Mo Chung, please form a life and death contract." With regards to the reaction of Zhu Jinlan and the rest, Mo Qingyun ignored them and turned to look at Mo Chung. At that moment, Mo Qingyun's action seemed to be a request to Mo Chung, but in actual fact, he was slapping Mo Chung and the rest in the face. "Didn't you ask me to fight with Zhu Jinlan and the rest? Now, not only do I want to fight with them, but I also want to have a life and death battle with them." Humph! When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Chung snorted coldly and took out a piece of bee skin to form a life and death battle. In a short while, a life and death battle contract was formed by Mo Chung, and there were many agreements recorded on it. Each of you will leave a soul brand on the life and death battle contract will come into effect. After forming the life and death battle contract, Mo Chung revealed a gloomy look as he spoke coldly. Chapter 688. Mo Qingyun, prepare to die. After the life and death challenge was signed, Yuan Ba spoke to Mo Qingyun coldly, with a ferocious look on his face. Limitless Tyrant Body Charm. As soon as Yuan Ba finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and took out his natal charm. As soon as the Limitless Tyrant Body Charm was taken out by Yuan Ba, it exuded an overbearing aura and turned into a golden light that covered Yuan Ba's body. As soon as the Limitless Tyrant Body Charm was taken out, Yuan Ba dashed toward Mo Qingyun like a raging bull. Frenzy Charm. As soon as Yuan Ba took out his natal charm, the genius of the Wild Charm sect, Zhou Jin, also took out his natal charm and instantly transformed into a huge ape. As he transformed into an ape, Zhou Jin's body immediately exuded a wild aura, as though he was an ancient ape from the Savage Era. Then, Zhou Jin followed closely behind Yuan Ba and approached Mo Qingyun quickly. He wanted to join forces with Yuan Ba to deal with Mo Qingyun. As Yuan Ba and Zhou Jin took action, Zhu Jinlan and the other two didn't hesitate and took out their natal charm. Myriad Transformation, Sword Charm. As soon as Zhu Jinlan's natal charm was taken out, it turned into thousands of sword shadows and formed a long sword shadow dragon that slashed toward Mo Qingyun. Phantom Incarnation Charm. As soon as Chou Jianfeng took out his natal charm, it turned into 6 shadow charm doppelgangers. They slowly concealed themselves and prepared to launch a sneak attack and assassination on Mo Qingyun. Void Breaker Charm. Seeing that everyone was taking action, Lu Chao smirked coldly and took out his life charm as well. As soon as Lu Chao's natal charm was taken out, it immediately split into 5 and was applied to the 5 of them. With the support of the 5 charms, the aura of Lu Chao and the other 4 immediately soared and broke through the threshold of the 7 seals. Sensing the change in the aura of Lu Chao and the other 4, the surrounding people were shocked and worried about Mo Qingyun. Lu Chao and the other four are so strong. I didn't expect the five of them to cooperate so seamlessly. Yeah, Yuan Ba and Zhou Jin will be in charge of restraining Mo Qingyun, while Zhu Jinlan and Chou Jianfeng will launch a sneak attack. Lu Chao will boost the fighting power of the few of them. This is a perfect combination. With the battle prowess they've displayed, I'm afraid that even a pinnacle seven-seal powerhouse would have to avoid them. From the looks of it, Mo Qingyun is going to be in trouble. I wonder if he can make it through. Looking at the strong fighting power of Lu Chao and the other four, everyone looked solemn. They clenched their fists and broke out in cold sweat for Mo Qingyun. I didn't expect that with the cooperation of Yuan Ba and the other four, they would be able to display such battle strength. Seeing the reaction of Yuan Ba and the other four, Yuan De revealed a proud smile, as if Mo Qingyun was already a fish on the chopping board. It is indeed unexpected. With the battle prowess they have displayed, even I would have to put in a lot of effort to deal with them. Hearing Yuan Da's words, Jin Kai's expression turned solemn, and he couldn't help but sigh. Humph! Mo Qingyun is courting his own death by signing the life-and-death contract. He can't blame anyone else. The silver-haired elder from Wild Talisman's sect sneered proudly and said gratefully to Jin Kai and the rest, "Fellow elders, thank you so much for helping Zhou Qing get his revenge." Haha, Elder Zhou Zheng, you're too kind. Let's work together. Hearing what the silver-haired elder from Wild Talisman's sect said, Yuan De and the rest laughed, as if Mo Qingyun had already been killed. At that moment, while Jin Kai and the rest were proud of themselves, Li Fan's expression was gloomy, and he looked extremely nervous. Looking at Li Fan's expression, it seemed that if Mo Qingyun was in danger, he would step in to save Mo Qingyun. Li Fan, it's not that easy to intervene. Seeing Li Fan's expression, Mo Cheng and the rest sneered, as they were wary of Li Fan intervening in the battle between Mo Qingyun and the rest. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At that moment, while everyone was deep in their own thoughts, the sound of a zither suddenly rang out. After the sound of the zither rang out, everyone saw a jade amulet peep of shadow appear above Mo Qingyun's body. At that moment, the jade amulet peep of shadow was emitting waves of magical sound waves, which rushed towards Yuan Ba and the rest's minds. Under the impact of the jade amulet peep of shadow, Yuan Ba and the rest immediately revealed painful expressions, and their attacks on Mo Qingyun slowed down. This is the primordial Peepa talisman. I didn't expect this kid to have such a treasure on him. Seeing the jade amulet Peepa shadow above Mo Qingyun's body, Mo Cheng was shocked, and his eyes revealed greed and killing intent. It seemed that Mo Qingyun's actions had intensified their killing intent towards Mo Qingyun. Primordial Peepa talisman. Like Mo Cheng and the rest, Li Fan was shocked when he saw the primordial Peepa talisman. This kid actually has the primordial demonic sound Peepa talisman on him. Could it be that he is related to the weapon symbol sect? If that's the case, things are getting more and more interesting. After saying those words, Li Fan revealed a playful smile. He looked towards Mo Cheng and the rest and said with a faint smile, "However, if that's the case, those guys will probably want to kill Qingyun even more. Looks like we have to contact the sect leader." Li Fan clearly knew that once Mo Cheng and the rest shed all pretense of cordiality and attacked Mo Qingyun, he alone would not be able to stop them. Subsequently, Li Fan took out a black talisman and quietly crushed it, secretly sending a message to the sect leader of the Sky Demon Symbol sect. Primordial Demon revealing Mirror Talisman. While everyone was shocked by Mo Qingyun's actions, another light shadow appeared above Mo Qingyun's body. It was a talisman light shadow in the shape of a mirror. When this mirror talisman light shadow appeared, it released a dazzling light that shone directly on Chou Jianfeng's body. Soon after, Chou Jianfeng's 6 shadow talisman clones revealed themselves one after another. They were unable to continue hiding. Chou Jianfeng's shadow talisman clones had been destroyed. When they saw this scene, everyone's expression changed drastically, revealing a look of shock. The Shadow Talisman sect's strongest technique, the Phantom Incarnation Talisman, had actually been destroyed by Mo Qingyun. This was simply too unbelievable. If that was the case, how could Chou Jianfeng fight against Mo Qingyun? Not only that, Mo Qingyun had also mastered the method to destroy the Phantom Incarnation Talisman. This indirectly meant that he was the Shadow Talisman sect's nemesis. This kid actually has the primordial demon revealing Mirror Talisman. Looking at the Mirror Talisman shadow above Mo Qingyun, Chou Wan's expression darkened. He turned his head to look at the people of the Sword Talisman sect and said coldly, "Elder Zhuru, does Mo Qingyun have so many primordial talismans? Does he have any connection with the Weapon Talisman sect?" Impossible. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Weapon Talisman sect was destroyed by the 9 sections. Hearing Chou Wan's words, Zhuru immediately shook his head and said in a deep voice, "The remaining branches of the Weapon Talisman sect are all affiliated with the 9 sections. It's impossible for there to be any survivors of the Weapon Talisman sect." Then how did Mo Qingyun get his primordial talisman? Hearing Zhuru's words, Yuanda and the others looked grave and became even more puzzled. This kid must have gotten it by chance. Chapter 689. Could this brat really be related to the weapon symbol sect? When he saw Mo Qingyun take out another immemorial artifact talisman, Li Fan's expression became even more solemn as he muttered to himself anxiously, "I hope that the sect leader can make it here in time before they take action." Another immemorial artifact talisman. When they saw the immemorial demon revealing Mirror Talisman above Mo Qingyun's body, the expressions of Mo Cheng and the rest immediately tensed up as the greed in their eyes became even more intense. Bah, looks like this brat is definitely a remnant of the weapon symbol sect. He cannot be allowed to continue harming others. The elder from the Buddha Talisman sect swept a glance at Mo Qingyun, who was on the tall platform, before he gave a fake smile. He looked towards Mo Cheng and the rest beside him and said, "Elder Mo Cheng, just to be safe, should we uphold justice and immediately get rid of this evil creature from the Weapon Talisman sect?" When they heard the elder from the Buddha symbol sect, the expressions of Mo Cheng and the rest changed as their eyes revealed their desire. "No, now that there are so many sects here, if we act rashly, I'm afraid that we will leave a topic for others to gossip about, and it will be detrimental to the reputation of our 9 great sections." After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, Mo Cheng forcefully suppressed the greed in his heart and instructed the few people beside him. "Elder Mo Cheng is right. We, the 9 great sects, are all righteous sections. Unlike the Sky Devil Talisman sect, we can't openly kill and plunder." Hearing Mo Cheng's words, Jin Wan, who was by the side, nodded her head in agreement, following which, her expression turned gloomy as she said, "However, after Mo Qingyun's battle is over and all the sects present have left, we can then make a move on Mo Qingyun and snatch it. Furthermore, if Mo Qingyun dies in the hands of Yuan Ba and the rest, we can then threaten Zhu Jinlan and the rest and make them hand over the immemorial artifact talisman on Mo Qingyun's body." When Jin Wan's words fell, another elder revealed a sinister smile as he opened his mouth and added. When the elder's words fell, Mo Cheng and the rest immediately revealed a cold smile as they looked towards the high platform with ulterior motives. At that moment, when everyone's gaze turned towards the high platform, Mo Qingyun and the rest were already in full swing. 9 temples performed soul grafting with me. After forcing everyone in front of him back, Mo Qingyun did not intend to hold back and sent a message to the 9 temples in the Soul Palace. "Yes, young lord." Hearing this, Jiogong immediately responded to Mo Qingyun and grafted her soul with Mo Qingyun. Then, one of the soul stars on Mo Qingyun's forehead shone with a dazzling light. Sky, burning meteor. After completing the soul grafting with Jiogong, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and began to draw in the air, drawing strange runes one after another. As soon as these runes were drawn, they emitted a sharp aura and flashed with a dazzling red light. After seeing this scene, everyone's expression froze, revealing a look of shock. Mo Qingyun was drawing a formation? Mo Qingyun knows about array formations? His talent is too monstrous. I didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have such a trump card. It seems like it won't be easy for Zhu Jinlan and the rest to win. It seems like Mo Qingyun has something to rely on when he signed the life and death letter with Zhu Jinlan and the rest. Seeing the formation runes flashing in the air, everyone's expression changed. Their faces were full of shock. Formation? Li Fan was shocked. Then, ecstasy appeared on his face. He said excitedly, "This kid is really good at hiding it. He only revealed this trump card now. I was worried for half a day. Yuan Ba, don't just stand there. Stop that kid from setting up the formation." When they saw Mo Qingyun's actions, Yuan Da and the rest's expressions changed. They urged Yuan Ba and the rest anxiously. They knew very well that once Mo Qingyun finished setting up the formation, Yuan Ba and the rest would be in a very bad situation. Hearing Yuan Da's reminder, Yuan Ba and the rest dared not hesitate. They attacked Mo Qingyun one after another, trying to stop Mo Qingyun from setting up the formation. "You're too slow." Seeing Yuan Ba and the others attack, Mo Qingyun had a look of disdain on his face as he mocked them. Sky-burning meteor flame formation, activate. Then, Mo Qingyun pointed at the formation talisman in front of him and activated the formation. As his cultivation of the 9 temples had broken through to the manifestation realm, Mo Qingyun's ability to use the power of the 9 temples had also increased. If the sky-burning meteor flame formation was not of a low grade, Mo Qingyun would have been able to set it up in an instant with his current ability. When Mo Qingyun pointed at it, the formation talisman shone brightly and turned into a red light curtain that covered Yuan Ba and the rest. "Fall back." Seeing the meteor flame sky-burning array coming towards them, Yuan Ba and the others were shocked. Their faces were filled with fear. Then, Yuan Ba and the rest retreated to avoid being covered by the sky-burning meteor flame formation. However, the sky-burning meteor flame formation was too fast. It was almost instantaneous. At that moment, before Yuan Ba and the rest could turn around to avoid it, the sky-burning meteor flame formation covered them. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as Yuan Ba and the rest were covered by the sky-burning meteor flame formation, the flames in the sky-burning meteor flame formation raged and formed huge fireballs that blasted towards Yuan Ba and the rest. As soon as the fireballs formed, they exuded a terrifying aura. The aura was enough to make a quasi-7 seal expert pale in fright. "Everyone, be careful." Seeing the fireballs coming towards them, Lu Chao reminded everyone with a serious look on his face. Hearing Lu Chao's reminder, Yuan Ba and the rest attacked and destroyed the fireballs that were coming towards them. Facing the bombardment of the fireballs, Yuan Ba was the most relaxed among them. After all, he had the limitless body charm to protect him. In comparison, Zhou Jin's situation was the most dangerous. It was almost to the point where he was surrounded by dangers. He had no choice. Not only was he the weakest among them, but his body was also as strong as Mount Tai's. He was the most vulnerable to the fireballs. As for Zhou Jin's dangerous situation, Yuan Ba and the rest didn't bother about it. They didn't care if Zhou Jin was dead or alive. In an instant, Yuan Ba and the rest were in a flurry. They kept on blocking the fireballs that were coming towards them. As the scene unfolded in front of them, everyone's gazes turned towards Yuan Ba and the rest who were in the formation. At that moment, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared from the high platform without anyone noticing. Mo Qingyun used his martial soul's ability, the concealment door, to conceal himself. Then, he silently entered the formation. Heavenly flames, sky-breaking halberd. After entering the formation, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately stabbed Zhou Jin with his halberd. It couldn't be helped. Everyone liked to pick on the weak. Mo Qingyun was naturally no exception. At that moment, Zhou Jin was busy dealing with the fireballs. He didn't sense Mo Qingyun's attack at all. Puff! Then, everyone saw a crimson halberd blade piercing into Zhou Jin's chest forcefully. It instantly pierced through his body. Ew. Aye. Seeing that his chest had been pierced, Zhou Jin immediately opened his eyes wide. As he looked at Mo Qingyun, who was gradually revealing his figure, he was speechless. Puff! Chapter 690. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished his words, he walked toward Zhu Jinlan and the rest. His figure gradually disappeared before everyone's eyes. Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure disappear, the expressions of Chou Jianfeng and the others immediately changed greatly, revealing a terrified expression. Mo Qingyun was going to kill them. Now that Mo Qingyun's figure had disappeared and his aura was completely concealed, they could not sense Mo Qingyun's existence. Most importantly, they had to deal with the continuous fireball attacks. They had no time to deal with Mo Qingyun. Such a situation was not a good thing for them. It was very likely that they would be killed by Mo Qingyun if they weren't careful, just like Zhou Jin. At this moment, while Zhu Jinlan and the others were panicking, the people around them were also shocked. Mo Qingyun knows how to conceal his figure. Moreover, his concealing ability seems to be stronger than Shadow Talisman Sect. In this case, Zhu Jinlan and the rest are in danger. They might follow in Zhou Jin's footsteps. It seems like Mo Qingyun is really going to kill when he wants to sign the life and death contract. Looking at the scene before them, the people from the various sects were all shocked as they whispered to each other. Zhou Jin is dead. Seeing that Zhou Jin was killed by Mo Qingyun, the elders of Wild Talisman Sect were heartbroken and their faces twitched unconsciously. Zhou Jin was the disciple who was second only to Zhou Qing in Wild Talisman Sect. He was the only one who had survived the Myriad Talisman Immortal Gathering. But now, Mo Qingyun had actually killed him in an instant. This was a cruel thing for the people of Wild Talisman Sect. Everyone, I didn't expect Mo Qingyun to have such means. If this goes on, Lu Chao and the rest will be in trouble. Looking at the situation, Zhu Ru's face turned solemn, and he spoke to Yuanda and the rest. Why don't we? Hearing Zhu Ru's words, Jin Kai's eyes flashed coldly, and he secretly made a beheading gesture. Seeing Jin Kai's action, Yuanda and the others immediately nodded in agreement, killing intent bursting from their eyes. Mo Qingyun die. Then, Jin Kai was the first to move. He flew up to the high platform at top speed and punched at the meteor flame sky burning array. After Jin Kai made a move against Mo Qingyun, Yuanda and the others no longer hesitated and rushed to the high platform where the battle was taking place. You're all courting death. When he saw the actions of Yuanda and the others, Li Fan's expression immediately went cold, and he attacked Jin Kai and the others. Just now, he had already announced that with him here, no one would be able to interfere with the battle between Mo Qingyun and the others. Now, Jin Kai and the others had openly attacked him. This was simply a provocation to him. This was not something he could tolerate. Elderly Fan, calm down. If there's anything, we can sit down and talk about it slowly. There's no need to get into a fight. Upon seeing Li Fan's actions, Mo Chung and the rest revealed a cold smile. Their figures moved one after another, stopping Li Fan from attacking Jin Kai and the rest. Mo Chung. When he saw that Mo Chung and the rest had intervened, Li Fan's expression immediately darkened, and he was furious to the extreme. He naturally knew that Mo Chung and the rest's actions were obviously to get someone else to do the dirty work. With the help of Jin Kai and the rest, they could kill Mo Qingyun on the spot, so that the 9 great sects would not have any future troubles. Thank you, elders of the higher sects. When they saw that Mo Chung and the rest had intervened to stop Li Fan, Jin Kai and the rest immediately revealed a joyful expression, and they quickly thanked Mo Chung and the rest. Everyone, let's talk things out. There's no need to get into a fight. Mo Chung chuckled in response to Jin Kai and the rest's thanks, and he gave them a look. At this moment, Mo Cheng's actions were not taboo. As long as one was not blind, One could tell that he was hinting for Jin Kai and the rest to continue. He was telling Jin Kai and the rest that they would stop Li Fan, so that they could deal with Mo Qingyun without any worries. Mo-chan, you've gone too far. Seeing how agitated Jin Kai and the rest were, Li Fan's expression instantly turned ferocious, and a black cloud erupted from his body. Following the appearance of the black cloud, Li Fan's aura rose rapidly and instantly reached the level of a quasi-9 seal. Elder Li Fan, why are you doing this? You've led the heavenly demon into your body to raise your cultivation. Be careful that the heavenly demon doesn't take over your body. Seeing Li Fan's actions, Mo Chang and the rest pretended to be worried, and their eyes revealed a cold glint as they gloated over Li Fan's misfortune. Although Li Fan had led the heavenly demon into his body to raise his cultivation, it still could not do anything to Mo Chang and the rest. There was no choice. After all, there were too many people on Mo Chang's side, and it was not something that could be changed just by raising his cultivation. At this moment, while Mo Chang and the rest were entangled with Li Fan, Jin Kai and the rest had already neared the array and started to attack the meteor flame sky burning array. Seeing the actions of Jin Kai and the rest, Mo Qingyun's face revealed a look of disdain, and his face turned cold as he said, "A bunch of shameless old dogs. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless." Divine Lotus General's true body god inviting talisman. As Mo Qingyun spoke, he took out the Divine Lotus General's true body god inviting talisman and activated it without any hesitation. Following that, the Divine Lotus General's true body god inviting talisman emitted a dazzling light that shone on Mo Qingyun's body. Shortly after, the aura on Mo Qingyun's body rose rapidly, and in a short while, it reached the peak of the initial second-level sovereign stage. Initial second-level sovereign stage. Sensing his current strength, Mo Qingyun's face immediately revealed a look of surprise, and his expression turned cold. At the same time, Mo Qingyun's body also underwent some changes, and he turned into a three-headed, six-armed man with a universe ring around his neck, the red tasseled spear in his hand, and the wind fire wheels beneath his feet. Divine Lotus General's true body god inviting talisman. Seeing the changes in Mo Qingyun's appearance, everyone's expression changed drastically, and they revealed a look of shock. They had never imagined that Mo Qingyun would be able to reach such a terrifying stage. Sealed Gate, Heavenly Flames, Sky-Breaking Halberd, Shaoza, Heavenly Spirit Finger, in action, Heaven Concealing Finger. In an instant, Mo Qingyun used all kinds of powerful techniques without holding back, and he bombarded Yuan Ba and the others with attacks. With Mo Qingyun's current cultivation at the peak of the initial second-level sovereign stage, it was easy for him to deal with Yuan Ba and the others, who were only at the 7th seal realm. Bang, 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 bang. Under Mo Qingyun's attacks, regardless of whether it was Yuan Ba, who had the boundless body god inviting talisman, or Zhu Jinlan and the others, their bodies were directly crushed. No, Yuan Ba, Jian Feng. Looking at the scene before them, Jin Kai and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and they all shouted loudly. However, their shouts were unable to prevent Yuan Ba and the others from being killed by Mo Qingyun. Seeing Yuan Ba and the others being killed by Mo Qingyun's attacks, everyone was instantly dumbfounded. 5/8 Seal Realm experts had tried to stop him, but they were unable to stop Mo Qingyun from killing Yuan Ba and the others. Chapter 691. Little Bastard, you're courting death. Little Bastard, return Yuan Ba's life to me. Mo Qingyun, I'll tear you into pieces. For a time, Yuan Da and the others all revealed ferocious expressions and attacked Mo Qingyun one after another. It's hard to say who's going to take whose life. Mo Qingyun was not afraid of Yuan Da and the rest. He immediately counterattacked without hesitation. Blood Chi Rampage. Sealed Door. Sword Radiance from Eyes. Sky-Breaking Halberd. Shaoza, heavenly spirit finger. In action, heaven concealing finger. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's various powerful techniques were once again unleashed without holding back. Under Mo Qingyun's attack, the sky changed color and the clouds gathered. A terrifying aura erupted. After this terrifying aura appeared, a huge black finger and a dragon halberd light shot towards Yuanda and the others at high speed. Limitless body talisman. Ever-changing sword talisman. Phantom incarnation talisman. In the face of Mo Qingyun's attack, Yuanda and the rest did not dare to hold back and blocked it. Bang! 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 When these waves of origin energy storms formed, they raged towards the surroundings with the force of a thunderbolt, instantly causing sand and pebbles to fly into the air. Retreat! Retreat! Seeing the scene in front of them, the people from the various sects who were watching all revealed looks of horror and hurriedly fled in all directions. At this moment, while everyone was retreating and fleeing for their lives, Yuanda and the others were all sent flying by Mo Qingyun's attack. Bang! After Yuanda and the rest fell to the ground, they spat out blood and their faces turned pale. Bang! After blowing away Yuanda and the rest, Mo Qingyun felt his blood boil and unconsciously spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun withdrew from the state of being possessed by a deity, and his cultivation returned to its original state. Not only that, but after Mo Qingyun's attack, the light on the Divine Lotus General's real body god inviting talisman dimmed. I've used up all of the talisman's power in the Divine Lotus General's real body god inviting talisman. Seeing the change in the Divine Lotus General's real body god inviting talisman, Mo Qingyun frowned and sighed. It seems like I won't be able to use it in the near future. However, at the same time that Mo Qingyun sighed inwardly, he also rejoiced. He thought to himself, fortunately, there isn't much talisman energy within the Divine Lotus General's true body summoning talisman. Otherwise, I might have exploded from the talisman energy within it. Just as Mo Qingyun was pondering, the terrifying storm finally calmed down. Then, Mo Qingyun and the others appeared before everyone's eyes. When everyone saw the appearance of Yuanda and the others, they were immediately shocked. 8 seal elders from the 4 ultimate sects had actually been severely injured by Mo Qingyun. This was just too unbelievable. Mo Qingyun is too terrifying. He can even seriously injure an 8 seal expert. Is he even human? He's only at the 6 seal level, and he already has such a terrifying force. What will happen when he reaches the 8th seal level? It seems like the 4 great sects have offended Mo Qingyun. They'll have a headache in the future. Everyone couldn't help but sigh when they saw the situation before them. They were worried for the 4 great sections. Li Fan was stunned when he saw that Mo Qingyun had seriously injured Yuanda and the rest. His heart couldn't calm down for a long time. This was completely different from what he had imagined. After a brief moment of shock, Li Fan's face lit up, and he said in surprise, Good. This is great. I didn't expect this kid to have such a heaven-defying trump card. Li Fan no longer hesitated and immediately went to Mo Qingyun's side after saying those words of surprise. A bunch of useless trash. To think that you can't even take care of a 6 seal junior. In contrast to Li Fan's surprise, Mo Chung and the rest's faces darkened. Killing intent flashed in their eyes as they looked at Yuanda and the rest. Mo Chung and the rest coldly glanced at Yuanda and the rest. Their expressions turned solemn as they silently conversed with each other. Elder Mo Chung. Mo Qingyun's potential is limitless. We can't let him go. He will definitely hate us for our actions just now. If he takes revenge on us in the future, it will be very troublesome. That's right. Given Mo Qingyun's heaven-defying talent, it will be very troublesome once his wings are fully grown. That's right. We can't let him continue to grow. We must kill him before his wings are fully grown. Yuan Ba and the rest have already joined our sects and are considered disciples of our sections. Mo Qingyun killed Yuan Ba and the rest. We can use this to punish him. After a round of discussion, Mo Chung and the rest quickly came to a decision. Mo Qingyun could not be allowed to live. Mo Chung and the rest came to a decision and looked towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Chung coldly said, Mo Qingyun, how dare you? Yuan Ba and the rest are disciples of our Nine Seal sect. You actually dare to kill them. Are you challenging our Nine Seal sect? Mo Qingyun, I have seen many shameless people. However, I, Mo Qingyun, have never seen someone as shameless as you. When he heard Mo Cheng's words, a look of disdain was revealed on Mo Qingyun's face as he mocked him. Then, he continued, you were the one who refined the life and death duel letter. In other words, I have obtained your permission to fight with Yuan Ba and the rest. Yet, you actually dare to say such words. You are truly shameless. You. When he heard Mo Qingyun's mocking words, Mo Chung was instantly at a loss for words as his face flushed red. He had no choice. Mo Qingyun's words were reasonable, and every word was backed by evidence. He simply could not refute. Mo Qingyun, I, Mo Qingyun, will remember the kindness that your great Nine Seal sect has shown me today. As he coldly swept a glance at Mo Chung and the rest, Mo Qingyun coldly said. Then, he looked towards Yuanda and the rest, and said, as for your 4 ultimate sects and Wild Talisman sect, I will also remember your actions today. I will definitely visit each of your sects one by one in the future. Elderly Fan, let's go. After saying some harsh words to Mo Chung and the rest, Mo Qingyun instructed Li Fan. Then, he shot a look at Feng Huaid and the rest, indicating for them to leave with him. Mo Qingyun, you have killed our 9 Seal sect's disciples. If you do not pay a price, it is impossible for you to leave like this. When she saw that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Jin Wan's face darkened. She furiously said some words and directly attacked Mo Qingyun. Bang! However, before Jin Wan could do anything, his body flew back. Humph! The disciples of my Sky Devil Symbol sect are not people that you can bully as you wish. Chapter 692. Following these words, a middle-aged man wearing a black brocade robe stood in the air above the crowd. Seeing the middle-aged man, Li Fan was pleasantly surprised. He hurriedly bowed and said, Li Fan greets the sect leader. Sect leader. This middle-aged man in black was the sect leader of the Sky Demon Talisman sect. Everyone was shocked when they heard how Li Fan addressed the black-clothed middle-aged man. Their hearts trembled unconsciously. The sect leader of the 9 Shades sect, the Sky Demon Talisman sect, was the most powerful person in the Immortal Road. He was someone who could cause the Immortal Road to tremble with just a stomp of his feet. At this moment, when everyone looked at Yao Honghu in awe, Yao Honghu was curious and asked Li Fan, Elderly Fan, where's the little guy you mentioned? Where's the little guy? Hearing Yao Honghu's words, everyone was shocked again and their emotions surged. Yao Honghu had actually come for Mo Qingyun. This piece of news was too shocking. A disciple who had just passed the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gatherings assessment had alarmed the sect leader of the 9 Seals sect to come personally. Mo Qingyun was probably the first person in history. Sect leader, he, is the Mo Qingyun that I mentioned. Hearing Yao Honghu's words, Li Fan immediately revealed a respectful expression and raised his hand to point at Mo Qingyun beside him. At the same time, Li Fan also signaled to Mo Qingyun and said in a deep voice, Qingyun, come and greet the sect leader. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and showed a humble expression. He cupped his hands and said to Yao Honghu, Disciple, Mo Qingyun greets the sect leader. 6 Seals beginner stage cultivation and first place in the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. Not bad. Yao Honghu glanced at Mo Qingyun and praised Mo Qingyun with a look of admiration. Sect leader Yao, as the sect leader of the Sky Demon Talisman sect, isn't it too much to cover up for your disciple to kill another sect's disciple? After being attacked by Yao Honghu, Jinwan showed a look of respect and said with dissatisfaction, You're courting death. Hearing Jin Wan's words, Yao Honghu's face darkened. He raised his hand and blasted out a palm. Under Yao Honghu's attack, an astonishing soul force immediately erupted, turning into a black talisman that blasted towards Jin Wan. Bang! Following that, the crowd saw the black talisman press down on Jin Wan with the force of a thunderbolt, directly crushing Jin Wan into the ground and killing her. With one palm, an 8-seal powerhouse had died. Seeing Yao Honghu's actions, everyone's heart trembled, and they became even more respectful towards Yao Honghu. This Yao Honghu was indeed the sect master of the Sky Demon Talisman sect. He was indeed a vicious and merciless person. He had killed an elder of the Nine Seals sect, the Golden Talisman sect, just because of a disagreement. After killing Jin Wan with a single palm strike, Yao Honghu's face turned cold. He looked at Mo Chung and the rest and asked, "Do you have any objections?" Upon hearing Yao Honghu's words, the hearts of Mo Chung and the rest shuddered as they felt a bone-piercing chill on their backs. They knew very well that if they dared to say no, they would probably follow in Jin Wan's footsteps. "All right, let's go." Seeing that Mo Chung and the rest were silent, Yao Honghu gestured to Mo Qingyun and the rest before he stood up and left the Myriad World Valley. Yes. When Mo Qingyun and the rest saw this, they immediately nodded their heads and followed Yao Honghu out of the Myriad World Valley. Seeing that Yao Honghu had left with Mo Qingyun and the rest, everyone was in awe. One by one, they made way for Mo Qingyun and the rest. In a short while, Mo Qingyun and the rest left the Myriad World Valley. "Qingyun, you will be heading to the Sky Demon Talisman sect next. Let's part ways here." Seeing that they had left the Myriad World Valley, Feng Huaid and the rest were reluctant to part with them, as they bade farewell to Mo Qingyun. "Sect leader, I have offended the 4 unique sects and the 9 great Nine Seal sects. I am worried that they will harm the Supreme Elder." Upon hearing Feng Huaida's words, Mo Qingyun immediately frowned. He looked at Yao Honghu with a worried expression and said, "Therefore, I would like to return to the Mao Fu sect with them. I hope that sect leader will allow me to do so." Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Honghu immediately frowned. He felt that Mo Qingyun's words made sense. At the same time, there was a hint of admiration in his eyes as he looked at Mo Qingyun. As the sect leader of the Sky Demon Talisman sect, Yao Honghu had seen too many disciples do ungrateful things after joining the Nine Seal sects. It was rare to see a disciple like Mo Qingyun who still remembered the sect's kindness. "You have just joined the Sky Demon Talisman sect. How can you return to your sect without familiarizing yourself with the sect?" After pondering for a moment, Yao Honghu revealed a solemn expression and said solemnly to Mo Qingyun, "How about this? Let Elder Fong and the others return to the Thatched Talisman sect first. After that, I will send people to the Thatched Talisman sect to protect them." "Thank you, sect leader." Upon hearing Yao Honghu's words, Mo Qingyun immediately thanked him. He knew that this was the best that Yao Honghu could do. "Little friend Mo, you don't have to worry about Elder Fong and the rest. Our Blade Talisman sect is not far from the Mao Fu sect. We can travel together with Elder Fong and the rest." When Yao Honghu finished speaking, Zhu Wuying smiled faintly and added, "Furthermore, after I return to the Blade Talisman sect, I will send the sect's elders to protect the Mao Fu sect. Little friend Mo, you don't have to worry about the safety of the Mao Fu sect." "If that's the case, then I will have to thank Elder Wuying." Upon hearing Zhu Wuying's words, Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy, and he thanked Zhu Wuying. "Little friend Mo, you're welcome." Zhu Wuying smiled faintly in response to Mo Qingyun's gratitude. He waved his hand at Mo Qingyun and said with a smile, "In the future, Invincible Blade will follow by your side. I hope that little friend Mo will take good care of him." "Elder Wuying, you're too kind." Upon hearing Zhu Wuying's words, Mo Qingyun replied humbly. After that, they chatted for a while more before Zhu Wuying left with Feng Huaid and the rest. "Let's go." Seeing that Zhu Wuying and the rest had left, Yao Honghu instructed Mo Qingyun and the rest before leading the way. After a few hours, they arrived at the Sky Demon Talisman sect. Upon entering the Sky Demon Talisman sect, Invincible Blade and the rest of the inner and outer disciples left with Li Fan. As for Mo Qingyun, he followed behind Yao Honghu and arrived at Yao Honghu's residence. Qingyun, elderly Fan has already told me about your performance at the 10,000 Talisman Immortal Gathering. After entering his residence, Yao Honghu instructed Mo Qingyun before pointing to the courtyard. From now on, you are my, Yao Honghu's, legacy disciple. This is Master's residence. You can choose a small courtyard to live in later. Thank you, Master. Upon hearing this, Mo Qingyun hurriedly thanked Yao Honghu. With a troubled expression, he requested, Master, I have a favor to ask of you. I hope that you can approve it. What is it? Yao Honghu revealed a curious expression as he asked Mo Qingyun. I am actually not from the path of immortality. I am from a place called the Heavenly Soul Continent. Mo Qingyun gave a simple explanation of his origin and some of the things he had to deal with. Therefore, disciple might have to leave the path of immortality for a period of time to deal with some matters of the past. I hope Master can approve. Heavenly Soul Continent? I didn't expect you to come from a lower realm. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yao Honghu's expression immediately changed into one of shock. After pondering for a while, he said, if you want to go to the Heavenly Soul Continent, you must go to the path of man. In this case, I will give you 10 years. 10 years later, the path of man will hold the savage meat. I hope that you can rush back in time. Thank you, Master. I will definitely rush back in time. Seeing that Yao Honghu had agreed to his request, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned joyful as he promised Yao Honghu. After that, Mo Qingyun and Yao Honghu chatted for a while longer before leaving the Sky Demon Talisman Gate. After leaving the Sky Demon Talisman Gate, Mo Qingyun found a secluded area and began to work together with the 9 temples to set up the Ancient Realm Crossing Array. If only the young lord was here. I believe that the young lord will definitely be able to think of a perfect solution. Yes, with the young lord's intelligence and wisdom, he will definitely have a way to deal with it. Hearing Wen Zhaoti's words, Qi Lian could not help but sigh. Then, he comforted Long Hanyin. Miss Hanyin, you don't have to worry too much about the young lord. Although he hasn't returned yet, I still have a telepathic connection with him. This means that the young lord is not in any danger. Yes. Long Hanyin nodded. After a struggling expression, she said to Qi Lian in a deep voice, Mr. Qi, come with me to the Xian family. Miss Hanyin, could it be that you wanna? Hearing Long Hanyin's words, Qi Lian immediately guessed her thoughts and persuaded her. Miss Hanyin, why don't we wait a little longer? Perhaps there will be such a turn for the better. In Qi Lian's opinion, Long Hanyin's current actions were undoubtedly to use him to exchange for Long Tianren and the others. Qi Lian could not care less about the life and death of Long Tianren and the others. If not for Long Hanyin, he would have killed them long ago. However, Long Hanyin was different. She was Mo Qingyun's lover. How could he allow Long Hanyin to make such a sacrifice? Qi Lian was very clear in his heart that if Long Hanyin were to use him to exchange for Long Tianren and the others, there was an 80 to 90% chance that she would end up dying. However, at that moment, before Qi Lian could finish speaking, Long Hanyin interrupted him. She revealed a helpless expression and said, although the actions of grandfather and ancestor have caused me to feel extremely disappointed, they are, after all, my elders. I cannot watch as they suffer. Qi Lian immediately fell silent when he heard Long Hanyin's words. He was unable to refute Long Hanyin. Long Hanyin was right. No matter how bad Long Tianren and the others were, they were still Long Hanyin seniors. If Long Hanyin did not care about them, it would be unfilial on her part. Therefore, Long Hanyin's decision at this moment was human nature and understandable. If that's the case, I'll go with you. We'll act according to the circumstances then. After thinking about it this way, Qi Lian's face became serious. He nodded at Long Han Yin and said, with this old man accompanying them, even if the Xian family plays any tricks, they will have to think twice. Thank you, Mr. Qi. Seeing that Qi Lian was willing to travel together, Long Han Yin immediately revealed a grateful expression and thanked Qi Lian. Although she knew that Qi Lian was Mo Qingyun's servant, Qi Lian still loyally protected everyone even though Mo Qingyun had disappeared for so long. Long Han Yin was filled with admiration for his actions. Afterwards, Qi Lian followed Long Han Yin out of the courtyard. He prepared to go to the Xian family to see Lung Yufeng and the others. Young lord, where are you now? Come back quickly. When Zhaodi became anxious when she saw Long Han Yin and Qi Lian walking out of the courtyard, she hoped in her heart, young lord, if you don't come back soon, Miss Han Yin will be in danger. When Zhaodi secretly looked forward to it, she did not hesitate and hurriedly followed behind Qi Lian and the other man. A moment later, Qi Lian and the others arrived outside the Xian family residence. Not long after, Xian Guofeng, Lung Yufeng, and the others walked out of the Xian family residence and came before Qi Lian and the others. At this moment, a skinny old man with a dark complexion stood in front of Xian Guofeng and the others. This old man was none other than the Yi family's ancestor, Yizhong, who was at the peak of the Heaven Dipper realm. Mr. Qi, what's your decision? Yizhong asked Qi Lian with a cold smile when he saw Qi Lian and Long Han Yin. He said, Mr. Qi, a fine bird chooses a fine tree to nest in. Now that we don't know whether Mo Qingyun is dead or alive, why are you so stubborn? As long as you pledge your loyalty to me, I can promise you that I'll give you 10 times the reward that Mo Qingyun gave you. Yizhong, you're not worthy of my loyalty. Chapter 694. Qi Lian, although this old man admires your strength, don't be so unappreciative. Yizhong's face immediately darkened when he heard Qi Lian's words. His tone was cold as he said, even if Mo Qingyun is standing here right now, this old man won't take him seriously, let alone whether he's dead or alive. At this moment, Qi Lian's face was filled with surprise when he heard Yizhong's self-righteous words. After a short moment of surprise, a bright smile appeared on Qi Lian's face. His expression became somewhat excited. At this moment, he suddenly felt that the telepathy between him and Mo Qingyun had become much stronger. Not only that, but he could also vaguely feel that the telepathy between him and Mo Qingyun was growing stronger. Didn't this mean that the distance between him and Mo Qingyun was shrinking bit by bit? In other words, it was very likely that Mo Qingyun had already returned and was rushing towards Ice Glaze City. After discovering this, Qi Lian was pleasantly surprised. He looked at Yizhong and sneered. Yizhong, don't be overconfident. Be careful that your joy turns to sorrow. In the past, many people have acted pretentious in front of the young lord. However, in the end, at this point, Qi Lian stopped talking and looked at Yizhong and the others with a mocking expression. What happened to them in the end? Seeing that Qi Lian was silent, an old man behind Yizhong said with disdain, Why don't you tell us? Don't tell us that they're all safe and sound. Ha! When Qi Lian heard this, he smiled faintly and replied, In the end, they all died. Oomph. In that case, this old man would like to see what Mo Qingyun can do to me. Hearing Qi Lian's words, the expression on Yizhong's face twitched a little. After saying some angry words, he impatiently said, Let's cut the crap. Today, young Master Yu Feng invited this old man here because he wants this old man to be his matchmaker and facilitate his marriage with Miss Han Yin. Yizhong paused and said, Miss Han Yin, the elders in your family are very optimistic and supportive of your marriage with young Master Yu Feng. I hope that you won't disappoint them. When Yizhong finished speaking, Lung Yufeng walked out with a cold smile on his face. He smiled faintly at Long Han Yin and said, Han Yin, you and I are a match made in heaven. Mo Qingyun is just a clown. Now that his life is uncertain, I advise you to forget about him. Long Hanyin ignored Lung Yufeng's words and said coldly, Lung Yufeng, if you want me to marry you, let my grandfather and the others go first. That won't do. Patriarch Long and the others still want to be our witnesses. You can't let them go now. When he heard Long Hanyin's words, Lung Yufeng smiled coldly and said, However, after we are married, Patriarch Long and Patriarch Tianrun will become my elders. Naturally, I won't hold them back. At this point, Lung Yufeng paused and pretended to rub his head thoughtfully before continuing. Of course, if you can contact Mo Qingyun and ask him to attend my wedding, I don't mind giving him a glass of wine. When she heard Lung Yufeng's words, Wen Zhaodi was enraged. She glared at Lung Yufeng and said, Lung Yufeng, you despicable and shameless person. You know that the young lord won't appear. You're deliberately saying this because you're afraid that the young lord will appear. Whatever you say, if Mo Qingyun really has the ability, then 3 days later, let him snatch Han Yin away at the wedding. Lung Yufeng revealed a look of disdain towards Wen Zhaodi's words as he spoke arrogantly. Hearing Lung Yufeng's words, Wen Zhaodi immediately became angry. Her beautiful face was filled with anger. Seeing that Wen Zhaodi was at a loss for words, the complacent expression on Lung Yufeng's face immediately deepened. He turned to Long Han Yin and said, Han Yin, in 3 days, I will send someone to pick you up at the Meteor Mansion. At that time, you must dress up prettily. Uncle, send a guest off. After Lung Yufeng finished speaking, he turned to look at Xian Guofeng and asked for instructions. Hearing Lung Yufeng's words, Xian Guofeng no longer hesitated. He gestured to Qi Lian and the others and said, Everyone, please. Hearing Xian Guofeng's words, Wen Zhaodi's beautiful face instantly became angry. She wanted to say something dissatisfied to Xian Guofeng. Seeing Wen Zhaodi's actions, Qi Lian chuckled at her and interrupted her words. He said, Miss Zhaodi, you don't have to pay too much attention to them. They won't be complacent for long. Mr. Qi, what do you mean by that? Hearing Qi Lian's words, Wen Zhaodi and Long Hanyin's expressions changed, revealing puzzlement and confusion. I have a feeling that the young lord might have already returned. Qi Lian didn't hide anything from Long Hanyin and Qi Lian. After replying to them, he said to Wen Zhaodi, Miss Zhaodi, you should be able to feel it as well. The connection between you and the young lord has become stronger. It really seems to be becoming stronger bit by bit. Could it be? After hearing Qi Lian's words, Wen Zhaodi's expression changed, revealing a shocked expression. Hearing Qi Lian and Wen Zhaodi's words, Long Hanyin immediately revealed a joyful expression, and her expression became somewhat excited. Could it be that Mo Qingyun had really returned? Miss Zhaodi, Miss Hanyin, let's return to the Starry Star Mansion first. Everything will be decided when the young lord returns. Qi Lian revealed a solemn expression. After instructing the two girls, he stood up and returned to the Meteor Star Mansion. Seeing this, the two of them no longer hesitated and followed behind Qi Lian. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. At this moment, a purple stream of light flew towards Ice Glaze City at an extremely fast speed. Qi Lian paused for a moment and said, The most important thing for us to do now is to stabilize the emotions of the Xian family and the others. Don't let them discover anything and become suspicious. Everyone immediately revealed expressions of agreement when they heard Qi Lian's words. They all nodded their heads. Brother Tianqing, because the Yi family's ancestor is causing trouble behind the Xian family, you guys shouldn't go together. Seeing everyone's expressions, Qi Lian's expression became serious. He reminded everyone and said, If the young lord can't rush back in time, I'll bring Miss Hanyin back. If you guys go together, I might not have time to take care of the South Gate. In that case, I'll have to trouble Mr. Qi next. Hearing Qi Lian's words, Long Tianqing and the others immediately understood what he meant and nodded in agreement. Long Tianqing and the others knew that there were many Heaven Star Border Stage 6 experts in the Yi family, Xin family, and Sha family. They were far from being able to deal with them. Therefore, if they went to the Xin family together, they might become a burden to Qi Lian if they fought. It would affect Qi Lian's departure with Long Hanyan. They didn't want to see this kind of ending. Brother Tianqing, you guys stay here and wait for the young lord to come back. I'll leave with Miss Hanyan first, Qi Lian said to Long Tianqing and the others. Then, he and Long Hanyan stood up and walked out of the meteor mansion. After a while, Long Hanyan and Qi Lian walked out of the mansion and came to the Xin family. Miss Hanyan, please. Seeing Long Hanyan walk out of the meteor mansion, the Xin family members sneered and gestured to Long Hanyan. Seeing this, Long Hanyan no longer hesitated. She lifted the curtain of the palanquin, walked in, and sat down. As for Qi Lian, he followed beside her with a vigilant expression. He was protecting Long Hanyan at all times. Then, Qi Lian and Long Hanyan stood up and left the meteor mansion with the others. About an hour later, a purple stream of light arrived outside the meteor mansion in the blink of an eye. The figure arrived outside the meteor mansion and easily passed through the formation of the meteor mansion, entering the interior of the mansion. This figure was naturally Mo Qingyun, who had rushed over at top speed. When Mo Qingyun entered the meteor mansion, he sent a soul message to Wen Zhaodi. Young Lord is back. After receiving Mo Qingyun's soul message, Wen Zhaodi was pleasantly surprised and said excitedly. When they heard Wen Zhaodi's excited words, Long Tianqing and the others were pleasantly surprised and excited. Mo Qingyun was finally back. At this moment, when everyone knew that Mo Qingyun was back, they seemed to have found their backbone. Wen Zhaodi said excitedly and sent a soul message back to Mo Qingyun to tell Mo Qingyun where they were. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived at the small courtyard. A trace of disdain flashed in his eyes as he mocked. Lung Yufeng, you didn't use your full strength just now, but I didn't either. What? Mo Qingyun also didn't use his full strength just now. Is Mo Qingyun speaking the truth? With his Pill Palace cultivation, he actually dared to not use his full strength when facing a Heaven Star Border Realm expert. It's probably fake. Mo Qingyun is probably saying this to embarrass Lung Yufeng. With regards to Mo Qingyun's words, everyone had a doubtful attitude. They didn't believe that Mo Qingyun's words were true. After all, Mo Qingyun's words were too difficult for everyone to accept. At this moment, while everyone was whispering, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and said, I don't mind telling you. Actually, I only used 1,000th of my strength in that halberd strike. I didn't expect you to need to use 10% of your palm strength to block it. Are you really in the Heaven Star Border Realm? Following Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people's expressions changed drastically. Each of them tried hard to suppress the laughter in their hearts. Cough, cough, I can't hold it in anymore. Mo Qingyun is really too pretentious. His bragging is going to reach the heavens. However, he does have some skills. With his Pill Palace cultivation, he forced Lung Yufeng, who is in the Heaven Star Border Realm, to retreat. This isn't something an ordinary person can do. It's just that he's so pretentious now. When he forces Lung Yufeng to use his full strength, I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand it. I'm looking forward to Mo Qingyun's performance when he faces Lung Yufeng's wrath. For a moment, everyone revealed smiles and looked at Mo Qingyun with anticipation. They seemed to want to see the scene of Mo Qingyun being abused by Lung Yufeng after he pretended to be pretentious. Looking at the expressions of the surrounding people, Lung Yufeng's face immediately darkened. He felt a burning sensation on his face. He had to admit that Mo Qingyun's words just now were like a slap to his face, making him lose even more face. Mo Qingyun, you're courting death. Thinking of this, Lung Yufeng's face darkened and he immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. Now that Lung Yufeng attacked, he no longer held back and summoned the Heaven Star border picture. Mystic Jade Mountain, suppress. Lung Yufeng summoned the Big Dipper picture, and a huge Jade Mountain appeared from the Big Dipper picture, crushing down on Mo Qingyun. As soon as the mountain was summoned, it covered the entire Xian clan, causing the light below to dim. Bang, bang, bang. Under the suppression of the Mystic Jade Mountain, the roof of the pergola couldn't withstand the pressure and instantly cracked. Seeing Lung Yufeng's attack, everyone's expression changed and they were shocked. Lung Yufeng's Heaven Star border picture is so strong.